Thing up, booting it up, going live, going live. Everybody likes downtime. We got YouTube up, apparently Facebook's up, and we're on Twitch, yeah. We're in the pre-show for 3 more minutes. So Dan's gonna sing and he's going to screw around on Genshin Impact. Black Friday shopping, we should have had a Black Friday sale and sold away Patreon memberships for $5, which is what we do anyway. Ooh, this thing is bad. It's terrible. It's got EM, and that's about it. Thank fuck this is Nahida's equipment. Who's letting their kids stay up to watch the boom Sons of Trier? Maybe you should be checked into for your bad, irresponsible parenting. Maybe we should be on the lookout because you're clearly not a responsible parent. And that's apparent because you're letting them watch the shit ass show. I mean, holy hell. Is there two freaking porn stars on the cover image? Barely edited to make 'em look any different. Like I wasn't lazy and stole from a porn site. We do that on purpose 'cause we're anti-media. I like it on Twitter when people advertise that they make show banners 'cause I'm like, haha, fuck you. I don't want your dumbass show banner. You think I'm paying for that shit? Well, you're wrong, son. This is artisanal production. Whatever I do myself is what's getting done, not more, not less. I don't even bother trying to tap my show artist for actual graphics. And clearly I'm making this song as I go along. I mean, holy hell, did you think I actually paid somebody to write this garbage? And I would remember it. Well, you're dumb. I'm sorry, that's the only way I can say it. You have to be stupid to think that I'd pay money for this nonsense bullshit song. Wow. Hey, how you watching wrestling? Well, that's just a better way to spend your time, frankly. You can always catch this later. This is content for like 2 a.m. Oh, I guess it is a stream, huh? Whoa, I'm on solos tonight. Yeah, thank you. You know what? I'm untrained, but my singing voice could be worse. I think. I think it could be worse. So I'm Dan Cohen. I'm the second son of Trier, the man with no pubic hair, the Jewish feast, the beast from the East Coast. I'm from the East Coast, technically. Although I'm like at the start of where like what the conservatives are like, we got to get to Middle America. That's what we need to do. I'm like at the line because it's still like clearly East Coast culturally speaking on a lot of shit, but like you know, I'm on a state that is technically East Coast. Although I don't, I think like at one small part we touch the ocean, and otherwise the major waterway we touch is Lake Erie, which is like kind of funny. Maybe Niagara. I think we touch Niagara too. I don't know. I don't pay much attention to geography. I'm bad at it. Like any American, I'm terrible at it. That's not my forte. Welcome to chat on the Sons of Trier live stream and podcast. Um, Tonight is going to be a dry theory episode. So what I suggest you do is you turn on wrestling and watch that in the background. If you want me to be real with you, that helps. It makes it funnier too. Like if your commentary and watching these guys get their ass beat is just, you know, it's just me doing communism. That's kind of funny to me in a way. And I really should. I wish I could pay for that, right? Like that would be kind of funny, you know. Just, just, just wrestlers hold the microphone screaming to get the crowd hyped up, and it's just me babbling. I would do my best to lip sync it too, but you know, that's about it. So I told Arthur Dented had asked yet again. I love Arthur, by the way. If you know who Arthur Dented is and your fellow follower, which you both are, I just love Arthur. Um, is he? My man is hitting me up in the DMs and constantly being like, "Hey, did you do this? Did you try this? Did you do this?" And it's like, you know what? If you want to be my content editor, fine. This is the people show to some extent because we're just random people. We're nobody famous. I turned off wrestling because I want to give my full attention to wrestling. It's a killer show. Been putting off watching it since the 18th. Oh, fair enough. Okay. Well, then find a different episode of wrestling that you can just watch like in the background. It'll be good. But something that you've seen before, so you don't really have to think about it. Like split the difference is what I'm saying. Arthur's pretty great. I get a kick out. I've known Arthur for a while actually. I knew Arthur on his alt. And I didn't realize I knew Arthur otherwise. And then the one day he's like, I'm so and so, and I was like, oh really? Now I don't know who he's told or who's aware of it, so I'm not outing Arthur in any other way than like that's Arthur V2, Electric Boogaloo. Um, so he asked me to touch on MAGA communism, and when I looked over the MAGA communism platform, it's just a hodgepodge of bullshit. Is ultimately what it boils down to. So it wasn't as interesting. So I started to read about the fourth political theory from Dugan, because the libs are all like, "Oh my God, do you see what's happening with Russia? They're under the influence of Alexander Dugin. The Duganites. Putin's a Duganite. He's Dugin it. Oh, the humanity." And Dugan's weird. I have started diving in to the Duganites. He hasn't told any of us in the main chat who he actually is. I don't. Yeah. So with respect to that, I'm not. I ran my mouth probably too far. If Arthur hears this and that was too far, I'm sorry. Um, he's nobody like he's. First off, I will say this: he was a comrade then, and he's a comrade now. So his credentials on being a comrade are, in my mind, in unimpeachable, unassailable. I would defend him to the hilt. Um, in that regard, help me in his own way, help me get bigger, right? To what little size I have, my little reach here. Um, So yeah, the Dugan work is coming. That's what I've been spending my day doing. Dugan is obsessed very much with Heidegger. That's where I'll start. And Heidegger's kind of an odd beast to wrestle with because just like Hegel, Heidegger writes an awful lot for an awful lot of reasons. Right, I'll be short about it here. Normally I'm willing to talk about the points of Heidegger you have a full grasp of, and it's just not. I don't find it to be worth it right now. Yeah. So, um, with that, let's talk a little bit about like Jack Off Hinkle. Oh yeah, Arthur's based AF. He has mentioned that he had another company. He hasn't doxed himself. Yeah. Okay. So nothing that you guys aren't aware of. His other account is not. Again, it's not. In my opinion, it's not exciting. I don't think it's of any point of contention or excitement. But again, uh, sorry, checking this out here. I'm getting a kick out of this MAGA communism. So people like Jackson Hinkle, Haas, these uh, they call themselves patriotic socialists, national socialists. Funny they would call themselves nationalism socialists, right? Um, I think that's a bigger tip off than they wanted. But Pat Socks, all this shit. This idea of the socially conservative and economically liberal communist, with our own mutation of the word economic liberalism here. Um, it's First off, it's not like some people believe this is the same thing as Dugan, who would call himself something similar, where he tries to marry the critiques of the fascists and the communists and then go beyond them in his mind. Right? These are two These are two sincerely different beasts, and before we talk about the platform of MAGA communism, what they are at the moment pushing. This is their alleged theory work. Okay? Their alleged theory work is first off that the popular or populist energy of the country is sitting and tilting and swaying in a certain direction. Right, it's swinging right. The what's jazzing people up is coming from the right ultimately, and the right's culture war. So the place for communists to start is not routed in academia. It's not routed in the unions, which have become right-wing institutions of their own accord. But it is rooted in the idea that the average layman, the average person, and the big expenditure of political energy that they are expressing, it has a right-wing bend to it. And it becomes the responsibility of the communists to co-opt that. And the methodology for co-opting it is in the Hegelian tradition some sort of synthesis, right? So there's the idea that we should be willing to tolerate some of their social hang-ups in exchange for the big sweeping economic reforms that are desperately, desperately needed globally, not just here, but globally. And to do that, we have to have a small view, a nationalist view, or centering around the nation state that the patriotic socialist is operating in, and that society supremacy, right? Because this is one of the big things that is driving this cultural angst from the right, is of course the death of the American supremacy. And if I were to speak on that for a moment, shucks howdy, are they really good grifters? You like getting an education. I do. This is fun. I love saying this. I offer private lessons. They're $5 an hour. They are far more in depth than what you would get on the show. They're also far more drolling, and I expect a lot of brain work to be going on. It's a lot of discussion. That's why nobody buys them. Good. Saves me trouble trying to actually do the scheduling, right? Ugh. Scheduling's a nightmare. So that's the trick to those. It's just a fun flex. So these are really good grifters because the beginning of their premise is that if there is a popular energy going on, if society is in such a condition that there is this burst of energy, it is the responsibility of the communists to capture that energy. That's all well and good. That's not wrong, right? We should be trying to co-opt, absorb, suck away from that energy. However, in the American context, the I would think anyway that the discerning critic would note a couple of things, right? Number one, the energy that's being produced is by the petit bourgeois. $5 an hour is a hell of a good price. That's seriously a great rate. Good for the comrades. Might have to take you up on that on one day. Yeah, let me know what you want to talk about, and you can. Or you can do what most people do is bypass it by just getting me going on my bullshit, right? Which is what I prefer anyway. I prefer to just go about my bullshit. I don't really want to make money doing it, but that's the way I would feel comfortable making money, right? The most way. The other is, of course, the Patreon, because if we actually could get Patreon subscribers and more viewers, right, I would bother to exert more energy. It's anti-media. If the people don't want it to be bigger than it is, I'm not bothering making it that way. I'm not clout chasing. If the clout happens to land in my lap, I'll do what is demanded, but otherwise, fuck that. That's for fucking losers to
Bullshit.
do.
Yeah, bullshit.
Oh,
Hell
hey,
yeah. Oh yeah,
we have
man.
we have a guest entering chat, Michael Jordan Peterson. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up? How you
Not
doing,
much.
bruh?
I say guest, but you had tonight off if you wanted it. You realize that, right?
No, I didn't. I
Ah.
fell asleep. I fell asleep and woke up, and here I am.
Oh man, yeah, you gotta check the Discord because I said, hey, it's Black Friday. Since it's right after Thanksgiving, we can just extend the holiday if you want. I'll go solo, but that's fine. I'm more than
Uh,
happy to have you. You know what we're talking about?
Penis.
No, we're talking about a viewer has requested MAGA communism be the topic of tonight's discussion.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and
Okay.
all I'm doing right now is giving a base, and then we'll start really jibber jabbering at it.
Yeah, let me know. We'll go into the fun stuff.
Yeah, we'll go through their policy prescriptions.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
so as far as a critique of their idea, right? What they profess to be their idea. Now I think we all know where we're going to land on this, right? But as a critique of their idea, sure, there's a popular energy out there. The problem is it's coming from the petite bourgeois, and their specific gripe is that they're not included in the bourgeois. Now that is no energy to be co-opted by the communists. The class grievances of wealthy whites are not our purview. The communist has historically speaking been pretty violently against those.
So you want us to co-opt them, co-opting our energy? What?
Yes. Yeah. It sounds when you take them at face value, it sounds very convoluted, but when you take them like when you've reduced it to what it is, it sounds pretty fucking stupid, doesn't it, my brother in Christ?
Oh yeah, especially because what it is fascism. Oh,
Yeah.
did I drop the ball?
It's not
Did I spill it out too fast?
the
Yeah.
the alleged groundwork theory. The alleged groundwork theory is not at all fascist. That is mere communism, and it's just improperly executed, right?
That that's all it's ever been.
It's all it's ever going to be. Um, we have a bad we have bad communists in the West overall. We got Cuba and
Bad
Venezuela.
revisionist. Bad revisionist. Bad.
That's right. We got Cuba
You get
and
you peed
Venezuela.
on the floor. No good for you. No treat.
Yeah. So that's kind of the big thing to keep in mind. The basis, the alleged ideological basis is not. It's very misguided, but the idea is sound, right? Steal their energy and convert it to our own, right? We're okay with being opportunists. If you're trying to revolt against global capitalism and you're turning down opportunities, you're not really trying to, revolt against capitalism. A failure is worth more than a non-starter, right? Unless your failure is like, I don't know, something like Caleb Maupin, where you're not only a national socialist but you're also a repeat rapist and you're becoming known only for your sex fetishism and your sex fetishes are rape, right? That's kind of like that's the kind of fail that you can. It's okay just to not try. But for in general, like,
Happy Thanksgiving.
yeah, happy Thanksgiving, Caleb. Oh my. Why don't you capture some more women, you fucking pig? Yeah, you know what? Honestly, though, like for real, there's a lot of comrades where it's like, look, you're wrong, we're right, but tut tut, tut tut, indeed. Like,
Tut,
yeah,
tut, tut.
like if you want me to name names on that, somebody like Comrade Burgess, right? Comrade Burgess is not like tut tut for telling people to be weak, right? But Comrade Burgess is fine. You give him a nice little academic post when the revolution comes through. Much like you'd give me a nice little bureaucratic post somewhere, probably running a gulag, right, for the real fiends. But Comrade Burgess would just get, you know,
Oh
see,
yeah, you'd be the anti DeSantis.
yeah, I would be.
You'd be the opposite of DeSantis. We just pull you in like, oh no, he's gonna follow all the rights.
Yeah,
He's gonna run this gulag like a well-trained machine.
this gulag will run like a well-trained gulag, a well-oiled gulag, a well-guarded gulag. Yeah, that's
I
what you
heard
do with
you like
me.
gulags.
See, everybody else is like, I'd be a thought leader. I would have some position of import and comment. I would be able to keep being a lazy academic. No, you put me in, coach. You give me a baton. You give me people to order to wield their batons. I'll fix the anti-revolutionary sentiment. It's okay. I'm all right with
Oh,
dying a villain. I'm
oh,
okay with that.
and they better be happy with you because otherwise they get to go to me.
Well, that's why we co-coordinate on the Warden Council. I'm just the day-to-day guy. When the real problems arise, they go see MJP and his we'll call it your kitchen,
Hmm.
your butcher shop. It
And
won't be
oh man, is business good.
it won't be kosher because I know you're cutting the heads off them pigs.
Delicious though.
It is. Cancel Jackson Shrinky Dink in the Stalinist sense. Yeah, for real though. We'll get to why, right? Number one, he's admitted he's a grifter. So this ideological basis is just a flimsy ideological pretext for libertarianism. I want to be a thought leader because I'm a thirsty hoe. You know what's fun? Once you get past all the violent parts, that's pretty much what it all becomes. Why would we stop that? Why would we stop the hoe thirsting? That's like half the fun of it, right? The sexual liberation.
Hmm.
It's upsides. So the other thing I want to talk about real quick is the idea of the socially conservative communist. And here it's important to separate political opinions from how you choose to conduct yourself, right? It's very important to understand the two can be in seeming conflict without actually being in conflict. And I'm going to use somebody like MJP or I as the primary example. What are we if not cishet men, right? Cishet tied to the binary. You date somebody and that's who you're with kind of people, right? There's the idea of the emotional and the intimate relationship is elevated beyond the norm, something from the romantic period. Most people are like that. That's just the way the population crumbles out in this day and age, right? It has been on an anti that trend, but that's how it is. But the major point here is we are socially conservatives in the conducting of our private lives, the way we privately engage with the world as individual actors. As far as our attitudes towards the grander parts of society, the liberal stance is, of course, these things are different but permissible, kind of like a you've heard it before, separate but equal, right?
Ugh.
Uh-huh. Yeah, indeed. the the progressive recognizes these things as equivalencies, that these things should be weighted exactly the same, and there should be no considerations of separate but equal. They should just be on a spectrum, right? That's the popular way to talk about it. We have kind of a radical way of talking about it because in our project, at least, the idea is to eradicate those notions of identity altogether, not the underlying things that constitute the identity in the liberal construction. So the idea of the non-cishet in all its forms, whatever dial you pick in there and start changing around, has to be wholly irrelevant. And you can extend that to race very easily. That those things have to be wholly irrelevant factors, which also means, conversely, that the behaviors they engage in, as long as they do not violate any kind of major, how do we put it, moral tendency, I guess. Like, you know what I'm alluding to here, the tweet from Elon this past week where he was just dying to get his hands on some not not safe for society material. As long as those tendencies aren't engaged in, it doesn't matter what the dials are set to. It's irrelevant. It's not relevant to their day to day. But however they conduct their lives, however individual actors conduct their individual lives, should be a wholly irrelevant thing. It should not play into their economic destiny. It should not play into their political destiny. It should not play into their ability to form at least friendly, intimate social relations. The anti-ostracization, the anti-hierarchy. These things have to be eradicated. So again, if you choose to conduct yourself in such a way where you hold marriage as either religiously sacrosanct or legally sacrosanct, or as something of an unbreakable intimate connection, or if you hold yourself as the pansexual, right, where you can be married to multiple people, or maybe not even married at all, but in these intimate relationships with multiple people, those things ought to be irrelevant as long as all of the participants meet those bare minimum legal criteria. The
Well,
idea,
you said ought to. That means ethics.
it is ethics, right? It is a moral or an ethical imperative. They can't be children. They Can't be without their consent, without their individual control. But the point there is whatever those individual actors are doing, again, is wholly irrelevant. They should be able to participate in political discussion, in their own political destiny, in the political destiny of others. They should have a say too in what constitutes those ethics, right? The social ethics that bind society. This is incredibly important, right? You're probably like, oh, why is Dan hammering on this again? Well, number one, we like to hammer on this idea of identity as being a liberal tool of control and hierarchy and patriarchy, which overwhelmingly it always has been. And as long as there is liberalism as the dominant global power, it always will be.
What you mean my rainbow painted on a nuke doesn't work so well for you?
No, it does not taste so well, no.
No.
Cynically, I like to point out that Hillary Clinton is
What if
considered
I
an
what if
apex
what if I
feminist.
put what if I put a BLM flag on it next to it? Does it work then?
When you're dropping that bomb somewhere in Africa on the allegations of terrorism and you wipe out a horde of women and children who are there largely in captivity to an actual terrorist, it does not. It doesn't work so well for me. No.
Oh man.
Put
Dang.
another way, you put a bullet in a terrorist, there's nobody who's depressed but the other terrorist because they're down a terrorist. You put a bullet in that terrorist's wife, that's a crime against humanity. Unless his wife was actively engaging in terrorism. Probably wasn't. The math has shown time and time again that a woman at a funeral is not engaged in active terrorist plots against the United States unless you've given her a reason to be.
She could have just been watching Fox News too long. That's all.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if that's where they got their information on America. Would not surprise me in the least. But again, the grander point of this is that the socially conservative communist is a bit of a misnomer. It refers to how the communists conduct themselves.
Understatement.
What's that?
That's a big understatement.
Yeah, it refers to how we conduct ourselves individually. It does not refer to how we view society. And that brings us back to communism and its planks. So, are you ready, Michael Jordan Peterson, with your commentary? You ready for these?
Oh yeah.
All
It's ought
righty.
to, it's ought to be good.
We'll go through the whole goddamn thing one at a time because this is the Trump communist. Okay, this is what Jackson Hinkle promotes. This is what Has promotes. This is why these people aren't even worth acknowledging that they exist, right? It goes beyond dunking on them. Somebody you dunk on, you recognize as having at least an opposite political theory that you need to win a context on. This is a grift. This is just an attention grift for conservative boys and girls.
They thought you was not paying attention.
That's right. They think you're not paying attention. So, their first plank, the reindustrialization of America, as an actual proper communist, Michael Jordan Peterson. If I just said we're going to reindustrialize America, what do you take away from that?
Like child labor. That you're just asking for child labor with extra steps.
Child labor with extra steps, quite possibly coming from a conservative.
Hmm.
Um, quite possibly recontextualized. Bingo, right there. Child labor, libertarianism realized. Let's go. Um, in a vacuum, in a sheer vacuum, I'm not even 100% sure what they're talking about. If they're talking about quote unquote made in America bullshit, right? Like boring, nobody cares about branding.
What you're talking about is a fundamental misunderstanding of internationalism. They are definitely nationalist,
They oh
ultra nationalist, a lot like some other people we know.
yeah.
So now, why is that individually a problem? Well, the problem is if you're for your particular nation, which is entirely based on the conception of whiteness. Wait, I'm sorry, they forgot to mention that part too.
Oh,
Yeah, they're.
hold on. We just got to get there first.
Oh, okay, okay,
We're,
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me slow down. Let you. I'll let you guide a little bit again.
yeah, this
All,
is
all I'm saying is when they're talking about reindustrializing America, they're not excluding the fact that they still have colonized places. They just want to bring that colonizing to your backyard.
Would it surprise you? Would it surprise you that depending on how you read this list, it is either the middle of the list or the second point that promote made in America products is number two? Would that
Mm.
surprise you right after
No,
reindustrialization?
no, no. I mean, you got to grift. You got to get your grift on. How else you gonna survive?
You that damn son,
I mean, it's not like they have good ideas.
as they say sometimes, damn son, you spitting.
It's not
Yeah,
like they have a real material analysis.
yeah. So they're talking about at best they're talking about boring ass liberalism. Pass. Big fucking pass.
You could have just thrown the libertarian back in. You didn't have to do all that.
Yeah, you didn't have to go that hard. You really didn't.
No, but they
Uh,
take it so far.
they they really fucking
It's like
do.
it's like they can't help but do the classic. Oh, let's just go right back to what exists. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like okay, you get them along, you string them like okay, so we accept that things are bad, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. So we accept that things need to change, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, we have
And
some ideas about how to change it, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And okay, so let's do this. No, you're authoritarian.
that's the anarchist. That's, that's the anarchist in a nutshell.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But you know what I mean. They all
Yeah,
play this game.
they all do. They
And
all really
immediately,
do.
whenever there's a chance to start talking about some kind of change, they immediately just completely flip and go, "Oh well, ultimately, we're just gonna keep things the same, even though we're not saying that.
Yeah, we're gonna keep saying the exact same
We're
shit
gonna
we
keep
were
things
saying.
radically the same. That's what they always do."
Yeah, and the defense of this style of point, the defense of this style of point is that Marx supported workers' movements in individual national cultures, even if they may have had, temporarily speaking, a nationalist basis. And I want to say that
I knew what we were dealing with was fucking stupid. The moment they was talking about as communists, we're not for the redistribution of property. I knew at that point it was immediately clear to me that this is just fucking stupid.
yeah, that's the anarchists, and specifically the iconoclastic anarchists who just want to burn it all down. So either we're for redistributing the property that exists and starting over, or we're for leaving the property arrangements in place, which means it's not communism anymore.
Hmm.
That is
Hmm.
the bare. If you were wondering what's the bare minimum for me to call myself a communist, we are looking to, violently or not, completely reorganize the social relations and property relations of the
It's
existing
literally the
society.
whole definition. It is the
It,
whole entire. If you look on the page, it's going to be the first definition in big bold letters.
it, it is it is
We believe the brainworms,
it is
the
the
brain rot.
barest fucking minimum of communist material
I
relations.
mean, if we were being generous, they don't even know what words are, and they're just ignorant.
Oh, I think
But
we're gonna.
that's not what they are though. That's they actively do the same right wing dance where they're doing the shit on purpose.
They are they are clearly doing this shit. I think we can make the allegation they're doing this shit on purpose. And as we go through these points, I think we're going to prove ourselves correct. They did
And then
this on purpose.
that's before you even get into Dugan and LaRouche and all that nonsense.
I'm going to contest that these are different, right? The idea that we lump them in together is for the benefit of these fucking weirdos calling themselves MAGA communists and is not actually true. Once I finish reading Dugan, I'm going to let you know what my stance is, but my knee jerk take is these are two different things. In all
Sorry,
honesty.
I go Old Spice Terry Crews
No,
on it. Block,
no,
block, 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 block. Power.
no. I'm just saying, like, I am doing the theory homework slowly but surely, and I got to tell you, I think the knee jerk reaction is they are different beasts.
Like a multi-headed Hydra kind of
Dugan,
thing.
Dugan forever. Yeah, well, fuck Dugan. Fuck him. He's lame shit. We got Skirt on the Twitch chat. Welcome, Skirt. Okay, so next 2 points, right? I'm gonna do these in pairs because some of these things need to be paired.
Okay.
Dismantle. In fact, let me see if I can nail all of them at once. We might, if we come back to something.
Oh,
Yeah, because I
let's
got a
see.
three. I got a four for here. Ready?
Okay.
Dismantle big pharma. Dismantle. Where is it? Where? Well, I'm looking for the buzzword. Land reform. Dismantle big agriculture. No, I'm gonna leave. You know what? I'm gonna leave that one separate.
That one already is very anti-Marxist.
Let me leave that one separate. I have a different take on that. Nationalize big tech and dismantle big tech. Yeah, we got a three for here.
What? Are you're dismantling and you said
Yeah, I have the land reform shit actually. I know where that comes from, and I have a spicier take on that particular point. So this idea of dismantling big, I mean they already collectivized the farms. Fair.
at least make up your mind. Do you want to dismantle or do you want to nationalize? It's not the same thing.
Yeah, which one is it? First off, which one the fuck is it? Second off, are you talking about going back to artisanal tech production? Because like,
Artisanal tech, natural, all natural, organic tech.
yeah, oh, farm raised organic tech production. We'll get the
Farm
NSA.
to table tech.
Excuse me, we don't get our NSA spying from big box stores. We get our NSA spying from down at the local NSA spy shop. Thank you. Yeah, come get the fuck out. So, okay.
Our satellite, our surveillance cameras have a U.S. flag on it, so it's okay now, right?
Yeah, now it's fine because now we know it's American spying, not globalized Chino-America spying. Fucking dumbasses. Um,
Just gonna throw the big nose allegations out.
yeah, why not get them out there too?
They do. That's what they do.
Small scale guitar pedal shit. Okay, so this goes hand in hand with that meme about communists being lazy, right? And I will say this: the proper communist ethic at the workplace is actually espoused very well by Bryce Belton of what the fuck is that show? Goddamn TrueAnon. Okay, when you show up, every minute before work is your fucking time. Once you're at work, right? The gay pussy eater, yeah. So once you're at work, you need to work like a motherfucker. You should be a fucking model worker in that you should be productive. You should be avoiding time wastes. You should be looking to make the process more efficient, not less, either to up your productivity or just to get the actual number of tasks at work down, right? You should be trying to make that shit run like a well oiled machine. That is something the Soviets pushed. That's something we're saying today on the left, and that's something I wholeheartedly agree with. When you go to fucking work, your goal should be to work, not a minute before work, not a minute after work. That part of your day that you hunk out for work, that should be you fucking doing your job. Because
And
you
at that same turn, how much of your not wanting to work is due to the means of production being held by people who don't know you and don't care about you or the
fucking
society at large.
fucking assholes in the Soviets black hat of the process. Yeah, they did. They really fucked with it on some points. Um, I'm not gonna get into those tonight per se
Why do
too
you like
much.
why don't you like being robbed so much? Why are you so lazy?
Yeah. No, we really should strive to be the hardest working motherfuckers in show business.
We're the only ones that do the work. We're the workers.
Black hatting is only for fucking capitalists up the ass. It's not fair when capitalism likers sabotage the people's factories. Again, true and based. Um,
They built the production, and now it's a simple matter of just taking it. That's how the whole thing works. The game.
yeah, your alienation from work should be minimized because we should be getting in, doing the job, getting out. This was
You should be so good at your job you could do it in 2 hours, and then if you're being extra special and do it happily, extra and then take an extra two and set up two other places,
yes,
and it benefits everybody instead of just them.
but unironically, right? Like there's no irony in what we're saying here. We mean it. Like that's the part. There's a host of other shit that needs to happen to make that a possibility, but that is ethically speaking what we should strive to be.
Unironically.
Unironically, I'll work my job for 4 hours without a break. I'll work my tits off. You want me to do it in six? Give me a 2 hour nap. Kind of getting closer. Yeah, there. That's the ideal workday for most non-critical positions, I think. And there is an idea. there isn't an idea that the labor expenditure, right, is no different between the nurse's aide, between the person who makes sure that nuclear bombs don't go off randomly, and the person at McDonald's. But
Well,
we can live without McDonald's.
it gets funnier too because it's hard to envision the entire paradigm. The essentially you're looking at a situation where we can actually guarantee you a job. Where
Yes,
where where it's we're not so tied to capitalist production models that we can't just say everybody has a job guarantee, but everybody works like 2 hours.
right. And they produce in terms of our capitalist society what we would call a living wage.
I mean, we have I don't know about everybody, but we have come to the point where we understand that culture is an important thing to produce as well, right?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, you're not going to find that argument here. You'd have to go to the anarchist chats, especially the anarcho-communists, to find the culture is a joke chats.
Right, right, right. So I mean, we've established that there's work to be done that's not being done right now, for the obvious reason of keeping you unemployed to lord it over you. Without that
Yes.
entire paradigm, that whole thing shifts.
Yeah, and it shifts pretty violently and dramatically. Um, and it has to be sorted out when it happens. I'll leave it at that. So moving on to the next one, right? Let's move on to the next one. End foreign intervention. This is kind of a fun sleight of hand phrase.
Yeah, it sounds like they're talking about immigration.
Well, with
Sound like they're talking about kicking
oh,
everybody out.
we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that one.
Yeah, yeah,
This,
mark that one down.
yeah, jot that down, Dan. Um, so what this is portended to mean, what this is portended to mean is American military aggression. Nobody in this chat, nobody on this podcast, nobody in our circles loves American military intervention. So, on its surface, this seems fine. But as we're going to see, they mean more than just that, and that's where it becomes problematic.
Oh yeah, because our military interventions are okay to them.
Right. So the
It's
next one
the
is,
it's the American exceptionalism is that they're getting at.
and the next one here. See if you can find the buzzwords. End globalist
Oh,
imperialism.
ugh,
We have just a. We're gonna get to something
oh,
else here that
ugh.
just make everyone be in the military and then demilitarize it. I've
Just
said
blowing
something
that
similar
whistle,
about
huh?
I've said something similar about voting. The minute you show up to be a permanent resident or more, right, a citizen or a permanent resident of the whatever nation state you're in, you should just be granted prima facie voting rights because you have to
Right.
live there for a long time and you should be making decisions on your own behalf. I've also said for Americans specifically, you should also gain prima facie. Yeah, you heard the dog whistle, Billy Carter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear it, and I hear that song "Blow the Whistle" where he's just
Yeah,
the entire
globalist,
yeah.
globalist. So of course,
Globalist.
what we can mean there is, of course, the J word. What we can also mean there is just Americans exercising undue uh, military supremacy over the world. So one of those things is good, and the other thing is very, very bad, because we're just getting back into pandering to the Jewish conspiracy nonsense, right? So
Hmm, hmm.
that's fun. It's fun that they put it out there. I like that. I always like it when the bigots put it out there, right?
I mean, I'd rather them do that than hide it.
Yeah, you're with me on that. We like it when they just say the anti-Jewish or anti-black shit loudly and proudly, so we know who to target.
Right. It's like they'll go on a rant, and you're like, okay, you got me, cool. Let's keep going, keep going, keep going. Globalist. All right.
Sketchy.
Now I know that you're not serious.
Even Cenk Uygur picked up on the most droll fucking fact about the manifesto, which is workers of all countries unite.
Mhm,
Right?
mhm,
Like we meant
mhm.
everybody. What's the whole WF
Everybody.
shit now? World Economic Forum. Oh, I haven't even gotten into that. Yeah. Is that just the new Soros? It's big in Canada. I would assume so, chat. I would assume that it is just a new Soros thing. This country would riot if you get rid of McDonald's. Fact. Libs and MAGA joining forces and pulling another January 6th. They would do that for against communism too. Yeah, WEF is. I think it's. Let me look real quick.
It's almost like they're all MAGA and no communists.
Oh, it's on the list. Don't worry. We'll get to WF. Yeah, the Illuminati, the New World Order, globalist, one world government. It always boils down to the anti-Semitic shit. We
Hmm.
are the easiest meme. I have found that the torment outside of from 1883 to 1946, the torment has always been anti-blackness, but it's always been laundered through the Jew. So we are unfortunately inextricably linked in this way as well as just general human survival. And it's unfortunate to be linked in that manner. It would be nice if we were just linked in general human survival. That would be great. Um, but yeah, a lot of that shit, there's a lot of anti Semitic rhetoric that is then used to justify anti blackness. So we get, yet again, reduced to tools for the white man. Well, don't some people blame the Jews for doing transatlantic slavery to begin with? Oh, of course. It's weird that it benefited to a bizarre amount white people. Like there were a few errant black folks and a few errant Jews who benefited directly from transatlantic slavery, but it's weird that it only benefited for the most. Well, I don't want to say only, but for
May I have
99% of it benefited white folk.
may I have the floor a moment?
Oh, absolutely, please.
Okay, so I am hearing the dumbest, the most anti-Semitic shit I've ever heard coming from black people. Motherfuckers, what
Unfortunately,
did you do? What is it? What are you doing? You know how this story ends, right? They come for you too.
they will talk about us and then they will come for you.
You want to be the new Jews? Well, guess what happens to them when the whites get a little too mad at them? And no, they're not the same thing. No, it's a different thing situation going on. They got an apparatus as a defense with a huge ass lobby for Israel, and they could just seize up and protect themselves to some extent. And
Only
and you and you want to get mad at them because black people don't do the same. Like, what is wrong with you people?
notably, the only ones. Well, don't some people blame? Yeah, we covered that one. We're covering it right now. Yeah, notably, it's really. I'm really impressed with the right wing for being able to wedge that yet again and bring that back up, right? Um,
Now
and
they got now they got now they're just trolling around black people's spaces like, oh, I'm looking for anti-Semite,
yeah,
and
and
you're like, bro, here's a mirror. Like,
yeah, don't worry, we found him. It was the white folk all along.
it was easy to find.
It was the guy who's mad that he can't own you.
I
That's the
just
one
walked
who's
out.
mad at the
I walked
Jews.
outside and threw a stone. That was it.
Yeah, and like John and I have talked anti-Semitic tropes. Maybe I'll try to get him back on one night to talk about that again because it's been a while. But yeah,
It
we
was
know how
it
this
was
ends.
very informative. Yeah, yeah. We know the ending.
Do you think that Nick dude propping up Kanye is a long con to turn the Jews and blacks against one another so that the fascists can march in and fully take the reins? No.
I wouldn't give them that intelligence. I would say that they're definitely going to use it that way.
Kanye is having a class beef that anti-Semites are jumping on.
Oh yeah, his issue is that, oh, I thought I was rich enough to be able to get away with this shit.
He, yeah, he like Jay Z believes they're rich enough to not be black anymore.
It's an
And
extension of that OJ argument.
yes, and what you will find, just like with Soros, right? It doesn't matter how rich you are once you're in the same class and caste uh, as the white supremacists, right? Once you're in that capitalist class, that mega capitalist class, that 1%, it doesn't matter that you're in there because they're very acutely aware of race. That's why the country is the way it is because they're very acutely concerned about race. Jews are still their money launderers and black people are still their singers and dancers and labor slaves.
Oh, who else you gonna steal the culture from?
Who else are you going to steal the people's culture from? Right? There's an argument I've heard before that American culture is two separate things. On one side, it is absolutely the culture of the white liberal in the sense that they are capitalists and liberal Democrats elite, and then for the worker, there's blackness, and I kind of believe that,
Both of them are somehow based on screwing over black people.
and they're both yeah. The relationship is still one where black is coded and openly subordinate to whiteness.
And then you're going into that game again where every race is walking around one after the other saying, "Hey, does this apply to me? I'm not entirely black.
Right.
I'm like in Asia."
I'm Asia black, not
So
Africa
it's not.
black.
So I mean, you let the Jews in one way, and you make the black in the other. So where do we fit in? Like
Yeah, and that's and what's the point of that? Ultimately, it's so that you can use
putting
light
in that
skinned
that
Jews.
putting in that white application
It's so you can use light skinned Jews who enjoy their relative position in the hierarchy as war tools
colorism.
against as war tools against brown skin and black skin folks. Because again, like I would buy a lot more of the Israel defense argument if they let in Ethiopian Jews, and they don't. There's a reason why everyone past a certain shade starts to
Hmm.
identify with black culture, and then the right will blame that on the Jews. Yeah, and that's because they need that anti-blackness to be the operational paradigm of society in this country, and it is laundered through anti-Semitism, it is laundered through sexism, it is laundered through misanthropy, right, hatred of males. It's I mean that's
It's
the
funny.
ultimate
It's
it.
funny because those Kanye, Lil Wayne types, every time you'll eventually get to a point where they're like, well, there was a point where only white people ever helped me, and it's like, oh, that's cool for you, but there's been times for me where they've only hurt.
How do
So
you? Yeah, right.
so
it, let me ask you this, MJP, and I want your opinion on it because I have my opinion on it. I want to see how much we agree. You can kind
okay.
of gauge, you can kind of gauge the trustworthiness on a white woman as to whether or not she sees a black man as a sexual rival for her white offspring. In that, if she sees them as a sexual rival, you cannot trust that white woman. That is an actual proper white woman. And if they do not, there is something there that can be salvaged at the very least.
Yeah, yeah. I would agree.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I I would agree. That's usually a pretty good litmus test. Because
yeah,
like a lot of them will say, "Oh yeah, black people," you know what I mean? But when it comes to liberals, it's all watching their actions.
yeah, because they're
So
not.
when so if she like actually really do fuck with black people, you'll see it. It won't take any time. Like, and it doesn't mean she has to be a disingenuous or anything either. It's just that there's a whole different, you know what I mean? There's that Karen switch that you
Yes,
can flip, and you got to be real careful because like if they have that Karen switch and you don't realize it, next thing you know you're getting an N word in bed, and then it's just all a mess.
yeah, it starts decaying real rapidly, seemingly out of nowhere. But that's because I would pretend that you didn't watch the signs.
But I mean, it's not hard. I mean, once you know what you're looking for, the sign, like they were better at a point of hiding the signs.
Yeah, I had
Nowadays, they just throw it out. They just leave the switch flipped and don't even look at it.
Yeah. Do you remember when Candace Owens had her baby? She has a mixed race baby, and
Mhm.
all the conservatives were like, "Look at that ugly fucking thing. It's mixed race. Blah blah blah. How terrible." And they said all
Mhm.
their normal racist tropes. I had to get on some of my liberal friends, and to be fair, they were like, "Oh shit, I realize what I did there, and you're right. I shouldn't have done that." But I had to be like, the problem isn't that she has a half-white baby. The problem is that she supports anti-black racism with her actions and deeds.
Mhm.
And they were like, "Oh fuck." I was like, "Yeah, that kid, every kid comes out ugly." So like pointing out that kid is ugly along with the conservatives who are saying it's ugly specifically because it's mixed race, like that's not doing what you think it is.
Like, and you're judging a baby. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, that baby could grow up to hate his mom and that would be wonderful. Like that would be great for that kid. Must protect him and
It's
most
a it's a
valuable.
baby. It's not there to look good.
Yeah, that part like that
They got plenty of years for that.
that had bugged the shit out of me. And I was like,
Mhm.
I went out and lectured. All right, getting back to the task at hand though,
Well,
because this is a long
a
fucking
lot
one.
of them don't even recognize the provisional whiteness situation. Like I've literally had to explain this to grown ass people.
Yeah,
You are provisionally white. Like you don't get a permanent card. It's an exclusionary situation.
no, it comes with a lot of strings. You got to read that contract.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
baby might grow up.
It's a libertarian contract.
Yeah. Okay, fair chat. All right, so getting back to let's keep going. Ready? Abolishing the CIA, FBI, NSA. Based, fine, whatever. Good for you, right? That's just good. Unilaterally good.
Never a question in my mind.
They get 1 point. They get 1 point on the scoreboard. A lot against them. They get 1 point. We agree.
Well,
Abolish the
they're
CIA.
just mad that they're not working for them at that particular moment. They don't
Right.
actually. I mean, if they were to totally do it,
Fair.
then I would just step out of the way and be like, "Yep, do it."
Yeah. All right then. Let's see it. Let's see you
All
do
right,
that.
let's do it.
Let's see you live that bullshit. But as far as
I will
rhetoric
watch.
goes, fine. You got me. I agree with that one. Get him. Pardon Assange and Snowden. Fine. You got me there. I
Yeah,
agree.
good, good. Yeah, yeah.
Good. Good.
Maybe go after him for getting Go after him for getting. Yeah, never mind. Keep
You're
going. I was about to say something gonna get us canceled again.
gonna get us canceled in the Stalinist sense by a whole bunch of guys who are really good with hacksaws and know a rich friend.
Hey, hey, hey! You could be of any class and be pretty good with hacksaws. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's right. Um, what's another great one here that we can actually agree with them on? I think leave NATO. Fine, good, based.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. NATO. No, NATO. Cool.
Yeah, it's weird that you're only against NATO because of what's happening with Russia, but whatever. Fine. In a vacuum, fine. Why
But do
it
they still
exists?
support Ukraine?
Yeah. How are you going to handle Ukraine if we're not going to foreign intervene? We going to let that stand? Like, I'm not saying. Here's the thing: if the Russians are like, well, we're going to take out Zelensky and do a regime change, I would actually be a lot more comfortable in how they're handling the situation
Mm-hmm.
because I would be like,
Oh,
well, it's not good, but
this is the small one. The next one's the big one.
you know,
Oh dear God, you
uh,
guys.
Soviet Union gone. Why NATO exists? No need. Fact. Fact. Why does it exist? Right? It's just to continue tormenting Russia and leading us into these situations with Ukraine. You'd have
Well
to.
said.
Well, I'm going to get ourselves canceled again. So what? But how you handle that situation? There's two world leaders who are a problem, who don't run Ukraine and deal with it. Why build cuck sheds around Russia? Yeah, frankly, yeah. Okay, this one's odd. Expand stable, high-yielding energy in the form of oil and nuclear energy. Um, Solar's
What?
right there. The
I'm sorry.
sun
I'm sorry. What? Run that by me again.
expand stable, high-yielding energy through enhancing oil and nuclear. Not nationalize it. Just focus
Enhancing
on oil and nuclear
oil
energy.
and nuclear.
Why
Why
would you
not? Why?
pick
Why
those
the
two?
oil? Why not just the nuclear?
Oil is very, very pissed. Yeah, for countries, for the fact that the globe runs on plastic right now, having oil diverted into the form of combustible engines and then burnt to not only poison the planet in that form, but also to be pissed away when we need the plastics for other things is very, very odd. It's almost like you're trying to appeal to people who remember vividly the era of American supremacy, which coincides with oil and nuclear energy, right?
Wait, are you going through that list? Are you
I-
going through that big list? The one that
the
I
big,
remember with all the.
yeah,
Oh, okay. What the interesting thing about that list was all the stuff that it misses. So like they bring stuff up like this, but they don't actually set like a green agenda.
right. Well,
They don't actually think about saving the planet. They just want to manage the energy.
they don't even want to manage the energy. Notice they're not nationalizing oil and nuclear
That's
power.
true. That's true. They're still leaving it to the market.
So we're just going to try to appeal to oil tycoons to get the revolution going. That seems to be a problem. That seems to be a major problem with your revolutionary theory there, MAGA communists. Uh, so right there,
There's a flaw.
it's all I'm saying is it's sus that you're supporting the bourgeois who have literally overthrown communist governments.
Oh, this is gonna be more fun without me actually looking at the list.
Yes, it is because now you're hearing it, right? Now you're really
Yeah,
processing it.
now I've already caught it. Like now I know what's going on here.
Uh huh. Yeah, note
This
that.
is what they do. This is what they do though. They like it's a longer, drawn out version of this.
I mean, if by appeal you mean if you don't do X, you'll be put into an oil well. Bingo. And yeah, the conservatives are still mad at Trudeau because his daddy nationalized oil for like a very short amount of time. You will be turned into oil. Fact. Um, fact. These are facts. When chat's being based, you got to
No,
just point out chat's
no,
being
no
based.
lies detected.
No lies
No
detected.
lies.
Chat has been pure facts tonight, and I love
No
it.
cap.
No cap. And we're not even done yet. Um, this one's fun. Deport the Bush family, Clinton family, Obama, Pompeo, Bolton to ICC. I'm not immediately certain of what ICC is because if you're not an intervention, like where are you going to deport them to, right? What would we
That's
say?
that's that's that's
Deport.
cute.
Keyword
That's cute
deport.
because we have other solutions. We have other ideas.
Yeah. Chat says oil well. We say guillotine. Whatever. You know, we like, the one thing the liberals did was bring us the guillotine, and we have to respect them for that.
Look, man, it's time for some bacon.
Yeah. Yeah, we could, yeah. So that's what we would do in that scenario if they're not willing to submit to the provisional government and then enduring government of the revolution. Like that's just disappointing for them. Um, but it's
I
weird
mean,
that they named those three,
essentially
isn't it?
they're gonna want to be. I know it is really sus on that one.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't put Soros on that list. But
Oh, I haven't gotten there yet. You got it. Remember,
oh,
don't
okay, he's
spoil
on
the
there.
list.
Okay, okay,
Don't
okay,
spoil the list.
okay. Sorry, I didn't. I thought it was just that.
Okay.
No, but I mean, again, they're picking and choosing what part of the ruling class that gets got, and it's a very suspect list.
It is a very
He's very
suspect
right
list.
here. Yeah,
It, how do we focus on high yield oil energy if we take out the Bushes? Right? They're a pretty big oil family, as my memory serves.
and
So,
again, the list number one on that list should be seizing the means of production.
weird. It's not. There's overtures towards certain means of production, and we're going to get more into those because remember, big tech, dismantle and nationalize
Oh,
big
right,
tech.
right, right. They got real big stiffy for destroying certain things and not others.
Yeah, keep it in mind. Mass infrastructure program. Well, we're unilaterally globalist on this, so we just need to expand that to the globe. The globe needs infrastructure of all sorts and kinds. That's part of why the workers get their jobs in the immediacy, right? Setting up those things. They got to post N words. K's. They're going for K's. Chat. They're going for K's. A lot of K's in this list. There's a lot of places they
Yeah,
could have put
yeah,
the
yeah. I mean,
K's.
well, I mean, you gotta understand they're coming from their MAGA stuff. So you
Yeah.
know, they're gonna go for the K's because I mean, inevitably whatever happens to the K's happens to the N's, right?
Right. And I think we might get to again. I don't want to spoil
They're
nothing here,
looking for a dividing line.
but we'll see if what point you can identify where they're talking about the ends. We'll see if what
Who is
point.
the who is the permitted victims, right?
Yeah, who are the permissible victims in all this violence? If you're doing that much oil, you're getting pretty close to some N words. But I think we can get closer with this list. Who cares about healthcare if I can get Elon's Musk brain electrodes so I can telepathically draw merchants before I die in the hospital? Fact. Okay,
Yeah.
here's another one that we're not in I would say we're not in love with, but the sentiment is fine. Banking in the hands of the people.
Oh, we should have got the scoreboard.
Well, they have 1 point. I'll give them one
Yeah,
point.
one point. They have 1 point.
They're gonna get two, but then they're gonna go back to one. You'll see.
Did you just say banking in the hands of who?
Yeah. So in this regard, right, on this particular point, again, we don't love the idea of banking per se, right? Finance capital, but banking in the hands of the people. I get what you're getting at there. Fine. We got to take the banking away
Banking
from
in the
the.
hands of the people.
Yeah. See again, K's chat. They're dropping K's.
Well, I
Um,
mean, essentially, they would have to be in the hands of people because we're talking democratic centralism, right?
ideally, we don't need banks. The goal is to eradicate the notion of banks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But in that transitionary period, right?
Right. You're going to have to put that in the hands of the people. So big time J's and K's, basically the men in black. Yeah, like I said though, chat, you're not wrong. We're going to find the N words. I think we're going to find them.
Mm, 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 mm.
this one, this one I love because this is their war on fat phobia. Subsidized gyms in every community.
Yeah, that was always a random one. That one was just funny because the specificity of it.
One,
You're taking a whole line when you could have said something like universal health care for all. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's weird. You're only worried about fat people. It's almost like you're bitching that America's too fat. And so we've heard that one
And
before.
and again,
Before, and
it's partly a side effect of the capitalist.
yeah, it's a major effect of food production. We've gotten into this fat phobia discourse from frankly the
I
left
mean,
and the right.
when are you supposed to work out? You got to work 40 hours.
Yeah, here
You got
come
kids
the,
and you got work and you got, you know what I mean?
yeah.
When
What
is
do
you
you,
supposed to be doing this exercise?
yeah, they want you to work 70-hour work weeks and then exercise the fat
So
off
you
you.
want a bunch of empty gyms
Or we can just starve you on food, which is
or at
funny
best
because that's the meme, right? Communist
at,
starve.
at best they're talking about YMCA's.
Yeah, at best. At best, they're talking about the
I
YMCA.
mean, it's cool that you put a swimming pool near people, but how many people can really go and use that?
Yeah, need a lot more swimming pools. Imagine how base.
They even put a membership fee on the Y.
Yeah, not a nominal one either. It's not a maintenance fee. It's an actual fee.
It's a fee. Yeah, it's a fee.
The idea that we would end fees, right? The idea that we would end nominal fees is, to me, it seems ludicrous. Like Marx never said we're going to get rid of taxation, we're never going to get rid of fees. But the idea that we would not eliminate profit, all of these things so far still have profit lying in them, lurking in the
It's all
background.
sitting in profit territory
Yeah,
and still in private ownership.
with private ownership comes profit. It's that simple, right? So this idea that there wouldn't be a nominal, you get your wages and then there's a nominal $5 fee a month to
They're
use
like
the gym in
they're
your
like I got
community.
an I- they're like I got an idea. Let's not get rid of profit and let's make socialism but still have billionaires.
Yeah, it
That's what they want. They want socialism with billionaires.
socialism with billionaires. And that doesn't work, does it? Doesn't work. Literally antithetical. Um, Here's one that's odd, given the rest of their list. Declare major energy resources as public commodities, so that what billionaires have to extract profit.
Okay, yeah, you don't even sound like Matt. You don't even sound like communist anymore.
Yeah, that
You're
seems to
talking
like
about privatizing things. Okay, so are you also permitting austerity, which is fucking murder?
yeah. I With that one, like that sounds like it should. Steph,
This is lib shit.
this some of this is lib shit, but declaring major energy resources as commodities does actually nothing to oil. It looks like it does, but it doesn't, does it? Because you can just sell the oil for pennies on the fucking mega gallons or whatever the fuck, right? You can just sell it for our Canadian audience. You can just put a penny on it per kiloliter. They can still extract profit from that. That changes nothing, right? So that relationship, it doesn't matter. It's a public commodity. If you publicly commoditize the raw resources, then the public can accept the loss as you extract the profit, which is harkening back to the earlier point. So that's dumb. That's dumb.
Ugh. I wonder when we're gonna get to the sex work part.
Funny enough, not on here.
What? No way.
Yeah. So here's one that sounds good. Dismantle the military-industrial complex, if that's what they mean. That's fine. Although, like, good luck winning over the right by taking out those beloved defense contractors. Good luck there when people dig into what that means. So if you
Yeah,
mean dismantle them, like we agree, good
like
luck.
they're trying to like pick and choose the parts of vulture capital, disaster, vulture, settler, colonialist, imperialist capitalism, and keep it.
Yeah, we're just trying to modify what parts of the horrific capitalist machine
Like, did you
control us.
did they did to my recollection, did they say anything about actually stopping imperialism,
They said end globalist
colonialism?
imperialism.
Okay, okay, guys.
Yeah. Here's the fun
Okay,
here's the
it
fun
was
fact
cool
we
until you
all
put that word in.
do. You know what those nasty globalist imperialists did in England? They did it for England. They did it from a national reason. So ending globalist imperialism means nothing. It means fucking
It
nothing.
means you don't know what imperialism is.
Yeah, you don't understand that the imperium
Because
is
they're
the
like
nation state and it is a
that's
nationalist movement.
the capitalist.
It's where the line is drawn. You're not liberating a nation state for an oppressed people. You're doing the exact opposite. Americans aren't oppressed except by other Americans. Fucking
So
idiot.
they want MAGA communist economic hitmen running around.
Yeah. Oh, and global imperialism, which means destroying the K's because the K's invented communism. Yeah, the
Mhm.
fact that
Mhm.
Marx was abstractibly a Jew has done a lot of work for these people. Because he was raised a Lutheran. Okay, he was raised a Lutheran. He didn't consider himself Jewish in any kind of meaningful sense. He was like, yeah, we got out of that shit. Woo! He was not. He wasn't a fan either. Not in the way the anti-Semites aren't a fan, but he was just like, yeah, that's not me, pal. So it's weird that they can keep ascribing that to Judaism because the Jews had nothing to do with it until after it was invented by a German Lutheran. But whatever. That's splitting hairs. That would be reading. Which is funny because the literacy movement, I don't know what that means in this context, is on the list. We need a literacy movement, I guess is what they mean. Or we need to end it. I don't know. You pick. Literacy movement. Those are the words. It's funny. That's almost feels like a joke, doesn't it? Doesn't it though? Like we need a literacy movement and you phrase it as literacy movement?
A literacy movement. How about a revolution in education?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, patriotic education maybe, ending woke academia.
It's like they want the whole open mind thing. They're like, oh yeah, we're open minded to the whole possibility of the revolution, and then they find the most minimal form
Yeah.
that they themselves find palatable.
I love the buzzword for ending woke academia. Did you catch it now, Chad? Did you
Woke,
hear it?
woke isn't even a real thing.
Yeah, woke's not a real. That is a liberal marketing ploy from the 1970s that has now run amok.
That's as unreal as populism.
Ooh. Well, yeah, we'll end this tonight by talking about that word populism. Why that's a bunch of bullshit. Literacy movement means book burnings. The average American is incredibly patriotic to a disgusting degree. They are, yes, like incredibly anti-communist too. Yeah, but they don't even know what communism means. Because when you talk about like what a communist is, they're like, oh, I kind of like that. Some of the shit they still hate when you explain it to them, but some of the shit they like. They like our ethics. They like the idea of showing up to work and fucking not being mistreated and then doing a good job so you help all your coworkers and then going the fuck home and not getting embroiled in bullshit. They like that. They like that a lot.
Like, without having all your labor value extracted,
Yeah, they like not being
having
stolen
power in
from
the
and abused at
workplace,
work. They really do. It's the other stuff with communism. They like private property relations as well. That's why they're
actually
different.
actually getting things done.
Imagine telling them that the kulaks killed all their livestock and burned all their grain. You could execute it on the school property. Hey,
Like
listen.
like literally, you can do better than their whole list by throwing it all in the trash and saying, "Here's one issue, fix it."
Yeah, yeah. But for real though. But for real. They also want an economic bill of rights. That's just Bernie Sanders shit. And
An
not that I hate
economic bill
Bernie.
of rights.
Again, taking what I can
Well, I
get.
mean,
Bernie's great.
like they're taking them again. They're taking the minimalist of the things that could possibly be.
And
Like an economic bill of rights. Okay, well, if we're gonna talk about rights, we got to really get in there.
yeah, and
Get in the
and
weeds. Like there's got to be not just economic. There's got to be like there's other rights. What about digital privacy?
there's other freedom froms and freedom ofs that need to be addressed because with all their other points, an economic bill of rights is just the right to private extraction, and that's pointless.
Mm-hmm.
We already have
Right.
that right. That's useless. That's not a Bernie Sanders thing. It looks like a Bernie Sanders thing, but given the totality of their platform, it is not a Bernie Sanders thing. Cut the military budget. Fine, cut it to zero. Better. Um, globally, cut it to zero. We're gonna have to be globalists for that one though, so fail. Right? They got 1 point. I'll give them 1 point so far. That's it. That's all they
And
got.
imagine if you went into the situation looking for peace and to expand everybody rather than just trying to destroy any competitors before they can compete.
Bam. Joester, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Welcome to the chat. We're going over Jackson
Welcome.
Hinkle's MAGA communism.
Welcome.
The critical thing isn't even close to being there. They know that capitalism means that the boss wants to pay you the least they can, and they know that most of them are going to be working for a boss. Come on, you stupid bastards, figure it out. Thank you, chat. Yet again, chat being woke, chat being based. My chats are the best chats. The Sons of Trier, we have the
Mhm.
best chats. We have the best chatters, the
Mhm.
best commenters. That's why it's small and elite, comically. Protect the Second Amendment. Protect the Second Amendment. What's funny?
Mhm.
What's funny is there's like what's funny is like the word militia implies another person. Right? The right to firearms is guaranteed under number 9 and a liberal interpretation thereof, not number 2. Tying it to number 2 means that every jackass with a gun is now suddenly his own combative militia, which is the realization of the Hobbesian war of all against all.
I
It,
like to use that freedom of the press against them.
yes. Well, they're talking about protecting the Second Amendment here. And
I know, but they selectively read into it anyway, so
right, well, it takes
I might as well selectively counter read.
Chuckles, I'm a militia. Rightoids get mad when lefties have guns. Well, of course, that's what they really mean. We've been going through what they really mean. But this idea of protecting the Second Amendment, that almost feels like a troll in and of itself as well, right? It doesn't take much for any armchair legal scholar to read what the word fucking is, the word doing all of the work in the Second Amendment, and realize that it really doesn't apply to individual ownership, and it can't. Oh no, Joester, don't ever say my B here. You're right. Again, chat being based. You're good. Chat being based. You're
This chat,
exactly right.
kudos to the chat,
Kudos to chat yet again for figuring out the plot of this grift.
doing our work for us.
That's right, saving us some trouble. But we'll
Yeah,
reiterate loud and proud anyway for the people who read it, who listen afterwards. Cut foreign aid and democracy promotion. F- mm, cut
and
foreign
democracy
aid.
promotion.
What foreign aid are we cutting? Is it the foreign aid to Saudi Arabia to blow up Yemenis? Because sign me the fuck up. Is it the foreign aid that actually goes for some amount of dollars into making sure people eat? Fuck you and fuck your face. Those people need to eat. And democracy promotion. That's pretty vague, right? Because that's just a justification for war. So ending democracy promotion means nothing. Like if you just wanted to say fuck you to the neocons, fine. Why don't you make your platform fuck neocons then? No neocons in power.
Because they are neocons.
Yeah. We need to protect the 18th Amendment is on the bagging the communist list too.
How many
Wait,
MAGA communists?
prohibition? Cut foreign aid to Israel, Kappa, based. Yeah, let's see if they're really for that. They might be. They might be that anti Semitic that they don't even like the colony that is Israel, right? Oh, did I say it out loud? Oh, I fucked up. Oh, oopsie, let the cat out of the bag there.
Uh,
It's
dang it! I thought I was gonna be the first to do it.
you were close. I'll give you
I
that.
was close. I pulled back at the last minute, like
Yeah,
snap.
Israel in 3 parentheses. LOL. Oops, wrong platform. Yeah, well, now we're fucked. No monetizing this video. Oops.
Oh no! Whatever
Oops.
shall we do?
Whatever shall we do? I broke it. You
Stop,
you did
please.
break me for a second. I had to relook that up. They're for prohibition. Um,
They're for prohibition.
yeah. Let's see. They've got N's. They've got K's. Can we find S's? Can anybody hear the S in this next sentence? No open borders.
Most communists I know are like make it all legal. No open borders? What?
No
You guys need to get open
open
borders.
borders. First off, we don't have open borders. An open border can only exist in a purely anarchic state. Hey, we've reached 100 messages today with the restream chat. Thanks, guys. Thanks. That's your hard work, not ours. That's yours. Thank you. So you won an award today for
Engagement.
your engagement. Thank you. No snowbirds. It's anti-Canadian rhetoric. I'd like to thank TH. I'd like to thank Weed for this high honor. That's not, I like that one.
Snowbirds.
So no open borders. Did you hear the harsh S in that one? I did. Oh, good. We got all three. Anyway, we could do something about the Asians. We'll find out. But so far, got him, Chad. Found him
What do
three
we
for
do
three.
about the blank?
Yeah, and again, I can't stress it enough. You can't have open borders without pure anarchism. Greece has open borders because that government functionally doesn't exist. Consequently, I will say this: I kind of agree with them on no open borders, if only because of the Greek example, which that island is now overrun with fucking swarms of American bourgeoisie extracting as much as they can and pedophiles. It is now the pedophile capital of fucking Europe because
Interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah, European capitalists ruined that fucking government's ability to govern the goddamn islands. So,
Hmm.
to some extent, I kind of agree. However, what they mean, they don't mean the horde of fucking bourgeoisie that come to ruin every place they show up. What they mean are the poor refugees. They would rather they just go bleed to death in their own country in a war America almost certainly started.
Not gonna lie, that doesn't sound too communist to me.
No, it does not, does it? The big time white supremacists say that the Asians have lower teen. If you become an alpha dipshit addicted to steroids, you'll naturally just outbreed them. Wow. Did not know that. Thank you. That is
I'm
ridiculous.
sorry, what?
And Chad, I agree. Every country should follow Somalia's example of heavily fortified armed capital and just a lawless war zone outside of it, at the hands of at the hands of the Americans. Yeah, no, chat on Twitch is dropping some knowledge bombs I didn't have. White supremacists just they don't worry about the Asians because they believe they can outbreed them. Oh my god, it goes back to
Asians?
Asians have small dicks. Wow, it goes back to that
What?
stereotype. That pejorative. Excellent.
They're gonna outbreed the Asian? What?
Yeah.
Have they looked at the population numbers?
They looked at the fucking scoreboard? I don't think so. I don't think they're good at that.
They can't even outbreed China.
Remember that time Jackson Hinkle tried to interview the Asian Student Association at Harvard, but they kicked him out because he kept calling them Celestials instead of Asians? Amazing.
Wow, Celestials like the seasoning?
No, we have a couple on YouTube. Yeah, that's amazing. Just they need to look at the fucking scoreboard. I love learning about.
We talk Celestials. We're talking about Marvel characters, aren't we?
Yeah.
Did the MCU just creep in their mind real quick? They was
Oh
they
yeah.
was writing this and they was thinking about Thor,
Of course they are.
and they completely skewed their
But they absolutely have to hate Futurama because of the Martian Wong family, and they have to hate Doctor Strange. They've expressed that several
what
times.
what
Oh, I
both of
thought like
them?
One Piece
Oh
Celestials
man,
could be. I really wish I didn't do all those crimes and shit before I died. This is absolutely terrible. Buddhism was right. Fuck. Thank you, chat. Joester, again, don't apologize. We all learned something. I'm learning a ton of shit from you guys. This is why I love this chat. Um,
yeah, this is pretty wild.
MJP and I are having unironic fun. That sometimes, we're not. Sometimes we have to phone it in. Sometimes it's been a bad day. Today, unironically based.
Rocks.
It rocks. It has from top
It's
to bottom,
the
wild
peak of
ride.
this show.
It is. It's really you guys. It's the people's pod. That's why it's
Hmm.
anti-media. It is for you. This is your venue. I will just reiterate your shit, and unless I have to
We just
fight it, we'll go. And also
we just saying
Florida.
the shit you would say.
And Florida would basically be our Somalia in the future if DeSantis had his way. Correct. Correct. That's what he wants. He loves Somalia. They all libertarians love Somalia. They really do. They don't just they can't say it because of course Somalia is in their minds black, but it is really is
Therefore, the
libertarianism.
enemy.
What's that?
Therefore, the enemy.
They're for the enemy. Yeah. Okay. If the den has some gorgeous car systems, I'd say fuck them. Yeah. Celestials is what people in the Wild West used to call Asians. That and Chinamen and the sea slur for Chinese folks. Facts. That and the Everglades are sort of one of a kind. They're neat. Um, they're neat. The CIA would redacted DeSantis before that would ever happen. I don't think so. I think DeSantis is pretty. He likes to pretend he's not in the deep state, but when the chips are down, he's deep state. Destroy.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
this
he's
is a
the
funny
deepest.
one. Destroy the duopoly or DC uni party. Um, yeah, I agree, but not in the way they mean it, so they don't get a point for that one. Remember when Alex Jones went on a pro Somalia rant all those years ago? Fucking hilarious. Yeah, Alex Jones accidentally based. Yet again, showing it out in the open, what they really are. Psychotic fat white men who just want fucking warlord violence. He's got that same kind of fruity swag as Trump. He does. Sure, but he's still a threat at that point. DeSantis would not. I don't think he is. I don't think he's the threat that he likes to make himself out to be, and I wouldn't fall for it.
Fruity swag.
Yeah.
Fruity
Alex
swag. I need to
Alex Jones is
name
a fruity
something
swag.
that. I
The,
need to make like a weed stream named Fruity Swag.
he's the apprentice. Trump is the master. Yeah, Alex Jones and and Trump are what we would call a queenie bitch, right? They have the queenie bitch
Oh
archetype. They're just
yeah.
drag
Oh,
queens.
the bitchiest of all queens.
There is a universe where RuPaul and Trump hang out on RuPaul's show all of the time, and both are in full drag, and it's just a treat. And there is a universe where Alex Jones is a sportscaster that is
Drag
just a
off.
treat. And there is a universe where Alex Jones stayed on the left and we are winning hard. That universe would rock. Because when he was a lefty who was just attacking the right like mercilessly before he was like, "Oh, I'm going to be poor doing this. I can't do that." Um, that Alex Jones. Yeah, there's a universe where Hitchens stayed on the left and it rocked. He did that because his goal. He adopted. It's
But you
actually a
don't see the
Landian
pattern, right?
theory. Yeah, Hitchens went far right in terms of global wars because what he wanted to see was America destroy itself. Which, to be fair, we are. We're doing
It
that.
might, yeah, that might still come to pass, yeah.
He went to the what's the word I'm looking for here? Nick Land's original base theory, accelerationism.
Oh, yeah, that was a popular thing at the time. We
Yeah,
found out real quick that doesn't work.
yeah. And then
It
Land
just
did
gets
meth.
shitty faster.
Yeah, right. Land did meth, and Hitchens started sucking off neocons. It was. We live in the worst timeline, folks. We live in the worst timeline. Um,
Ew.
a couple more here. We got a couple more to hit, right? End debt slavery. End debt slavery. I think that based whatever 2 points. We'll
Debt
give him two
slavery,
points.
and well, I mean, wage slavery.
Well, we'll start with debt slavery, right? This is in
Can
line
we
with
start with
American
actual
people.
slavery too?
You're right.
They didn't actually bring actual slavery.
Hitchens, I believe. I'm not sure.
Base, base, base.
Um, I don't think. Okay, he's the kind of goon hockey player who can score like a fucking Lusick in his prime or a Merchant. You love when he's on your team, but it's hell otherwise. In regards to Hitchens, Jones, even Trump, yeah, it is hell otherwise. It is. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I believe you're talking about Hitchens, and it is based when Hitchens is on your team. Yeah, it was a great time. Old Hitchens rocks. Um, Imprison opioid fentanyl networks. Now that is just right wing pandering with an upside. So, but there's a caveat to that.
What?
There is. If what they mean, if you pair that with their destroy big pharma idea, based. If what they mean is attack drug dealers, woof, big oof. So no point awarded. Again, the debt slavery is not because the debt slavery is bad in itself to them, but it's because they associate it with Jews. Yeah, but either way, it still needs to go because whites are still putting everybody in debt slavery, right? There's no getting around it. Whatever brings them to the table on that, I'll give them a point on it. I understand it's anti-Semitism that motivates them, but again, I'm rating them on do I agree with their proposition? Now I give them a whole point because they're not getting a point for the imprisoned opioid and fentanyl networks. Because again, they don't mean big pharma executives who ordered putting that shit on the street in that form over other treatments and other research for the purposes of profit. They mean bust up drug dealers, right? That's all they mean. Which pass, pass. I'm sorry, black communities have had enough, haven't they? Have they not suffered enough? Pass. We don't need you piling on in the guise of communism. Um, Fuck them. Ban Antifa street terrorism. Big oof, fellas. Big oof. The only people who hate Antifa are fascists. It's that simple. Oof.
The anti fascist.
Yeah, we're the anti Antifa. Okay, that makes you a fascist.
Okay, guy.
Yeah, it's dealers and you're going to be able to get some fucking drugs under based communism. Yeah, the way and you know what I will say this: what drugs we're allowing out there are definitely researched against their harmful effects. The goal isn't to get everybody on heroin, right? The goal is to make sure that the street drugs that are available are distributed in such a way that they're not causing like fucking just insane fucking deaths and damage. Fucking, I will say illicit immoral behavior, right? Like we just don't need fentanyl on the streets. But the way to destroy that is to destroy big pharma. The way to destroy that is not to attack drug dealers. And if you do fucking start really blasting off, people get you some help. Yeah. Well, ideally, that's not happening because the other pressures of alienation aren't firing off that addiction, right? Yeah, exactly. We're not treating you like shit, chat. That's it. There's a lot of things that go into that, and our relationship to intoxicants changes under communism in a bunch of ways that I don't know how at this moment because we're not there. But I can envision a couple guidelines for it that are a lot more equitable and fairer. True, but some people are just prone. Well, yeah, everybody, like a lot of people have the allergy. I'm an abuser of substances. I get into a substance and I fucking abuse the shit out of it. Right? That's how I am. That's my allergen, right? That's my in the same family of addiction. Humanity is emphasized at every step of the process. Correct. Human liberation. So what we're doing in those regards has to be with that idea: is it destroying the human or is it not destroying the human? And then it kind of changes what we're dealing with. All right, couple more here. Destroy Open Society Foundation, WEF, IMF, World Bank, Gates, Ford, Clinton Foundations. We're going to lump these in too. Dismantle secret societies like CENTCOM and AFRICOM. Declare the NED, USAID, and NAFO terrorist organizations. We would annihilate those things too. But again, yeah, they're doing it because Jew. Nothing interesting going on there. Do you see Michael Jordan Peterson? Do they get a point? I don't think they get a point.
Yeah. Honestly, I was surprised they got one.
They got the two in my eyes. I'll give them two.
Okay. I still that shocks me.
See,
That's
I
way more
figured.
points than I thought they would get.
Yeah, they got the two. So these ones again, wash. Not interested. Um, these two. Stop me if you've heard these before. Remove red tape and lower taxes.
I feel like they should get some negative points for some of these.
Well, for this one, funny enough, do you want to take a point away? I'm okay with taking a point away here. You're back to
Yeah,
one
take a
point,
take
kids.
take a point away.
What do they think? What do they think some workers are going to be doing in the revolution? We're obviously going to be making sure that shit functions right. Right? We're not going to we're remove red tape. Motherfucker, you better be ready. We are
They
going to
still
tie
didn't
you up
mention
and
the profit
mummify you.
motive. They still didn't mention the profit
They still didn't mention what?
profit motive.
Yeah. Quite the opposite here. They're basically saying we're going to kick the profit motive up into high gear. Because you gave
It's
them
like
one
a
for the
it's like
first
a
half and
weird
zero for
it's
the
like a
second.
weird hybrid of like they're like I want this from conservatism. It's like a a la carte menu for them. They're like I want this from neoliberalism and I want a little bit of this from communism and stick
I'm
it
on it,
all in a
Dave.
pot and what do you get? Nothing that works.
Now, here's a funny one. If you remove red tape and lower taxes, when they say end subsidization of monopolies, it feels like you've done the opposite, doesn't it? It feels like all you've done is literally create monopolies. Which,
They
by
didn't
the
break up a
way,
single monopoly.
we're not going to break up a single monopoly. We're going to overcharge the oil monopoly. We're going to fucking ramp it to high holy heaven, but the Bushes aren't allowed to play in that club.
That sounds very safe for the environment.
Yeah, it sounds great. And unregulated nuclear power, which is funny because that is the same effect as the Soviet regulation of nuclear power. Chernobyl will be a fucking joke. Yeah, remember, remove red tape. That's anti-regulations. That good for you, chat. You figured it out too. Good for you. Unregulated oil and nuclear power. How the fuck is that gonna go? They're practically unregulated in this world already, thanks to America alone. How is that working out for us?
Well, just wait till they find out the shit they was doing with nuclear.
Well, they made those fucking arm-mounted cannons for launching nukes 25 feet away from you. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I remember, I remember seeing that in like something like a Fallout or something, and I was like, this is vaguely familiar.
Yeah, it's amazing. Unite with China on the Belt and Road Initiative. Okay.
You
So we're
mean
going to
you
be
mean you mean
globalists in regards to China. That's
you mean
contradictory at best.
you mean you want to actually build things?
They
Who's
did
gonna
have
pay for it?
they
Who's
did
gonna
have
pay for it?
they did have massive infrastructure overhaul, which, given their stance on unregulated removing red tape, fuck it. Don't do it then. Don't do it. Let it crumble. Let the shit burn to the ground. It's literally safer in that condition.
That's always the weirdest word soup they throw out.
It it is. When you start making the connections from parts of the platform, it gets funnier and funnier. So then, see if you can
Not
figure out.
together. The next one is not together forward, right?
Right. We're down to our final four. Chat, and I think in my mind, I saved the gems for what's really going on here. And I would like to jump to these next three because I feel like they're all together. But first, I'm a big LFTR fan. I think that some of the material science challenges are going to be solved very soon, and if global society throws most of its weight behind that, then you really can dodge a bullet. It's 99% unfeasible. Um, can I ask chat for definition LFTR? Just it's not coming to my mind right this second, or I don't know it. Liquid fluoride thorium reactor. Is that what you're getting at?
Hmm. All right, so read the whole thing with the reactor in there.
Yeah, LFTR, liquid fluoride thorium reactor. Um, is that
That's the salt,
the molten salts?
the molten salt. Yeah, that's the new one. The thing is, they found that it doesn't it doesn't like they wanted to do a bunch of micro reactors, but it doesn't really work
It needs a big
at the
macro
scale
reactor.
at the scale that they needed to. So it's still just somewhere between theoretical and impractical.
Okay, so this is what is this, a fission reactor then?
The thorium one, yeah, I think so.
Okay. I will not lie, nuclear science is not, it's a curio to me, nothing more, nothing less. So I'm not an expert. Yeah, the push to miniaturize it.
Well, I have an interest in science, and that's all it
You
is.
know more about it than I do. I'm winging it here. Um,
Yeah, if you want me to, what was their question? I can field it.
well, no, chat's saying one member of chat is a big liquid fluoride thorium reactor fan, LFTR fan. I think Kirk Sorensen knows his shit. I don't know Kirk Sorensen. Um,
I mean, at this point, it's just the kind of tech that you just have to wait and see. Like, there's definite avenues that it could be improved. I remember seeing it's the efficiency being pretty low, and they were looking to bump that up. But I
okay.
mean, at the same time, you don't necessarily have to have the new reactors. You can we've got plenty of good reactors now. We just don't have enough of them. We're still just chugging along on oil and coal and natural gas.
Yeah, well, it's got to stop. I mean, I'm personally a solar guy. Like all these places where we have heavy amounts of rooftop asphalt and pavement, right? Those should be,
Oh yeah, well I mean it's a whole effort. You know,
yeah,
that's the reason they don't want to do it because it if they really wanted to, it could be done.
sure. Well, when one of the
But
gripes is always
there
it's
has to
not
be
at
a lot of
scale.
investment. Yeah, yeah, at scale, the scale of it. Well, that's just it. Like if you refuse to even do a little bit of it, of course you're not going to meet the scale. We could have been very well on our way to having this
Ch-
solved.
Chat is reminding me that True bought the
Instead we're just hitting on the gas.
True is reminding me now that we technically speaking own a nuclear power plant in the Carolinas, and that he has also turned into a gay bar. So you're right. I
Oh
really should know
yeah,
more
I
about
forgot
this.
about that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'll
We
help.
we kind of let True manage that himself. So
That's definitely his domain.
it's a proximity problem, really. We're not
What do
close
you, what do you
enough.
call it? Meltdown?
Yeah.
I don't think that meets federal recommendation.
Yeah, and even we're not happy with the feds on this, we are. Does that make sense? LFTR is really efficient. I'll talk later. I would love to talk to you about it because, like with the science stuff, I'm always my my biggest form of knowledge and interaction with science is more of their process and their opinions about themselves. This is okay. So this is where one of those limiters of being like a theorist hinder me. But I'll be honest about it. Unlike others who would like try to really
You
go
know,
big in the
honestly,
comments.
you would take to it pretty well because it there's actually a lot of scientists I see that could use some dialectical and historical thinking.
Uh, I'd love to talk to him about it. Why scientism is purely bullshit. This notion, and why they need to be on guard again about their own ways of thinking about the world. Right, like that idea that science is always refining itself. Um, that that's a religious belief. That's more of them engaging in their own religious belief, more so than a fact, because they don't have to. Right, phrenology was once accepted science. The phrenologists certainly didn't trash their own science. That had to be disproven externally and socially dealt with because on the basis of the quote unquote scientific method, once you start into these bodies of belief and knowledge, this
Yeah,
teleology.
it's a very foundational situation where if you get the science wrong in the very beginning or trying to come to a conclusion like a justifying ideology, it'll corrupt the entire end result of the science coming out. Sort of like how science again is just a tool, technology is just a tool.
Right.
It's the intention of the person wielding it that's the issue in the main part, in the most for the most part.
And it,
Like if you're going in looking to say, hey, how can we make it so black people are inferior, then you've already completely lost your objective science. You know what I mean? Your objective for not for reason, because reason can be misused, but for any kind of justice, any kind of objective view that includes all sides.
yeah,
You're
it's
funding the wrong studies. Like before, like if we were to have a like actually a socialist situation, the types of research and the innovation would be through the roof
our our methodology and our worldview about it
because
would
we
be
don't
different
have the
than
same
the liberal.
dogmatic, silos that the liberals have to do to try to figure out how to get funding to the projects that they need for the important. You know what I mean? We would recognize the value in slime molds for slime molds' sake.
The idea
The unsexy science.
what needs to be considered, I think, is that scientism is considers itself to be hyper egalitarian, and it is patently not.
It is not
It is patently not. It is anti-egalitarian. It is beyond the egalitarian revolution, right? The
because
grand
they're
enlightenment of
researching things
humanity.
to own them.
The science that was conducted during the Enlightenment and that derived from that philosophy is a different type of science overall, as is
They're
different from Greek and Aristotelian science. It's also
like
not
they create
meritocratic. Yeah.
that commons, that open source or public research from universities or whatever for the corporations to come in and steal it,
Yeah.
and then
So
just hoard it, and a lot of times they don't even develop the shit. A lot of times they just hold on to it to kill it so they can monopolize.
yeah. And I will say this too, science in today's terms is simultaneously liberal in the sense that it conforms to a liberal political worldview, but it is not liberal in its understanding. When you believe that science is the cornerstone of the foundational truth, you are getting into a romantic
Yeah,
philosophy.
that's idealism.
You're right. You're moving into an idealistic philosophy. So your pile of facts are they're painted over. Whereas the sciences of the Greeks was teleological, right? This is the phenomena. This is why the phenomena fits in our worldview and understanding. That's good enough.
And
So
I recently learned that there's a thing they like to do where they basically mathify everything, strip
yeah,
everything to the quantity and remove all of the qualities that apply to real life situations.
right. In Heideggerian terms, it's anti-Dasein, right? It's anti the individual. It's anti-self.
And
Very
like,
much so. It's very concerned with subjects, right?
mhm, mhm,
Whereas the Greeks were very concerned about the self in all of their worldview. That's not to say it's wrong, right? The pile of facts it has acquired is not necessarily wrong, but how we interpret
right,
that
like
set
the
of
like the
facts.
fact that like the fact that we can mathematically come to a more just situation is not wrong. It's
Right.
just that that's not what they want to do.
No, it's not what they want to do at all. And I'll take your big butt. I'll take I'll take your big butt,
That is the
Chad.
big but.
I'll take your big butt,
Big
Chad.
but.
They are lying to you. LFTR stands for Lucky Fucky Tucky Revolution. It's the woke revolution the
Ooh,
liberals want. Okay, fair. The quantification of each individual component and its weighting given a situation, that's the next horizon. Um,
wait,
within the
waiting.
weighting, like how
Wait, skin weight. Okay, gotcha. Anxious.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the push. Yeah, but that's still that doesn't change much about their process, right? It's just the next thing they're going to add to their process. It's there's a lot of mechanical things. I'll give you a really great example of this. I got in a fight with an anarchist, and now I'm out of the family because when arguing about gun violence, right? They were arguing about it being mental illness and a snap decision. I argue that there are a set of social conditions that go into play. This is
That's
from
the liberal in them.
right.
That's
There
the
are,
liberal in them. They literally they things just happen spontaneously to them because they do not have a dialectical worldview.
yeah. So I'll rehash it. I haven't really said that particular anarchist name, but I'll do it. There's one Rachel. They run a show and a stream. It's a bunch of anarchists. They're all kind of assholes, right? They're all very arrogant. It's funny how rigid they are about their hierarchy with this bunch of assholes that they are. But this Rachel Kahn. So the argument was that two sides of the argument. One, there are a set of social conditions and arrangements, preconditions that produce violence, and the other is that it's all snap decision making in a subject. And
No.
my argument was that there is a massive amount of media, right, that promotes violence without promoting violence. So it opens the door for violent thoughts to be brought in.
The
Okay, that's
OG was.
fine. Well, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying the OG is Jesus, the martyrdom.
The OG is Jesus and martyrdom. So we already know that there are social conditions where violence can be permitted. And we can find reasons to permit violence. We go beyond that. The social relations that these violent shooters are always in are always ones where violence is promoted. And specifically, the violence that we're seeing is always right wing violence. So it's culturally speaking, it is a right wing problem. It is a white wing problem, right?
I think I the yeah. I mean that's without dispute. The thing is that violence is a tactic, and they're taking a tactic to be a principle. It's a short-term thing that only works for so long, so you have to have more violence.
Right. You have to overload on it because it will fizzle out in its effectiveness.
So like so like both in non-violence and violence, your strict adherence to it is a problem.
Right.
Like you shouldn't be walking out with your gun looking for a fight, but you also shouldn't be unwilling to defend yourself.
Correct. Now, the counterpoint I was given was that the idea of the decision is a binary yes no check in any given direction made multiple times at fraction of light speeds by an individual because of the proximity between the electrons to make the decision and the neurons and so on. It was given a purely mechanized process, right? So these individuals are just little robots that flip the violence switch and then dedicated to do violence. But if we even look at violent decision making, number one, that's not entirely possible. One decision to commit to violence does not even constitute violence, right? Which is what I, was getting at before I was just LOL okayed, right? Which is the liberal way of saying like, fuck, I've been caught not knowing what I'm talking about. Because if one thinks about it, if we work through the steps for Mr. Stephen Paddock, we had to make multiple decisions on how to arrive at how many firearms to have, how many bullets to have, where to conduct the shooting from, when to conduct the shooting. And then we had to have a series of decisions and transactions socially that would permit those things to happen, right? If we look at the Paddock shooting. And then, of course, we have to make the decision to pull the trigger the first time, and then the next time, and then the next time, and so on. So there is no one decision to commit to violence. Whether or not any one of those decisions happens, quote unquote, instantaneously is wholly irrelevant. There's actually a complex body of decisions going into it for that individual subject, that individual self, to commit to a violent path, where to aim, um, when to
Yeah,
reload, and so on.
to further your point here, that usually with these violent situations, there was a point at the very beginning before it even happened where it could have been intervened.
Right.
Um,
Right. The
and
point of intervention.
multiple steps. It takes so many like a failure, like orders of magnitudes of failure for that to happen.
If you live in a society that permits as many firearms to the individual unquestioned as we do, did those people who saw Mr. Paddock bringing in a full armament and boxing up the room, were they even failures, or were they just making their own decisions within this framework that socially enabled the violence?
I would say they were actually failures on a societal level. Yes.
If you as a society end up figuring out how human cognition exists in real time, in a capitalist society, you'd become maximalized consumers with a minority of maximally self-determined people at best. In a liberal communist society, you'd obtain maximalized self-determination at most. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
The alternative to these failures is liberation.
Yeah, the alternative is failure's liberation. I give you that, but what I'm saying is these social relations that were otherwise upheld until they weren't, right? Until that actual
Hmm.
decision to put the gun in the window, the actual decision to pull the trigger in the Paddock case alone, were those other people who fed him, who made sure the room was available and clean, who took his money to take the room, right? Were those failures? Were those routine transactions? Those, to me, those are just routine transactions. I don't
Oh
put
yeah.
much, I don't put much on the
A lot of
concierge.
yeah, a lot of a lot is just unrelated. It's just a lot of noise.
Right.
Um, but
So this
there are very concrete steps where that's just if.
I agree with you that there are milestone decisions that lead to these violent
But
happenings.
all I was saying was I was just backing you up on your point that like it's not just one snap decision
Yeah, right,
essentially.
right, right, right. No, I agree, and that's a good point to elaborate on, right? Like it's not, yeah, I bet those workers, chat says that you can bet those workers feel responsible. I'm sure they do, and they're really not because they were just acting out normal social relations. They're just going through the motions of their day. How could they have ever possibly predicted that their banal decision would produce those circumstances? And that's why I would argue, of course, like you would, chat, that they are not responsible. It was Mr. Paddock's decision making that turned those bodies cold, and no one else's. I'll say this too: in a country where it's perfectly legal to
I
deal in
don't
those
know.
guns,
I don't know about no one else, but yeah.
well, the concierge is not responsible, even though the concierge almost certainly offered him room service, right? And didn't question his.
But the Fox News isn't exactly innocent.
Well, I didn't say they were, right? I'm not saying they are. Again, they are helping to create the situation that creates Stephen Paddock's. This, they
Right.
we think of the media as dictating orders down because we think hierarchically. What the media does is absorbs narratives that are already out there and presents them to everybody to see if they also want a taste of that narrative. That's what the media
Hmm.
does. That's how propaganda works. You have somebody who's saying this in a very small, isolated setting. It's not memeified. The media memeifies it. That's if you wanted to know, that's where I think Chomsky's wrong, right? Media reproduces these things, but you nudge the narrative. Yeah, you do. I would blame Fox News more for that shooting and its associated ilk. I sure they do. Yeah, I know what you're saying there. They sure do, but they don't. These aren't invented out of thin air. They're just taking a very small minority sentiment and they're just memifying it.
It's the game of opposite day. So
Yeah,
like you boost the shit that you shouldn't and suppress the things that you should.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden you have a media environment where there's majority support for the U.S. in just the imperial countries, and everywhere else in the world everybody hates it.
right. And not that they're hate, and the reason for hating it is because it's bad. It's not because they are trying to.
It's
They're
yeah, it's
mad that they're in
irrational
second
hatred.
place.
It's like you murdered a bunch of them and then expected to be friends.
You remember the 1619 project? I think that's a really good example here. The 1619 project, or whatever that fucking liberal bullshit was, basically says that African slavery was one of the, if not the most horrific event in human history. To which I would say, true. Um, but the way they present it is that America is uniquely evil in transatlantic slavery.
So
No, right? We from a sheer, and this is not from me. This is Pascal Robert who points this out loudly and proudly. And this is Revolution, one of the few podcasts I still dick around with time to time.
it's good, yeah.
Um, yeah, very good, very based. It's 4%. So many countries did that shit. Yeah, exactly. So to present it to an American audience as a uniquely American situation and uniquely American evil is that meme that America is exceptional in the world. It memifies that through an allegedly negative lens, right? Only America had the economic power to kidnap these people and put them into sexual and labor slavery and violate their autonomy for generations. Only America did
And
that.
it, and it
Motherfucker, England is a country. Canada is a country. Fucking Mexico is a country. They all did it. I just named four. France, Germany. Pick a European nation. They all did
you,
it.
you, it's people being people, and you have to
Right.
recognize that because, I mean, otherwise you're gonna forget your history and start walking around like the Native Americans didn't do the shit too.
They're, when they say end patriotic education, what they're saying is we should say the transatlantic slavery was good, actually. That's all they're saying. And I can't think of a more
That's enough, fam.
patriotic. Look, as a descendant of Hyperborea, yeah. I can't think of a more patriotic statement that America is uniquely evil in transatlantic slavery. I cannot think of a more patriotic statement. Because look, we're even good at being evil. America is so great that even when we're evil, we are an exceptional, monstrous, demonic evil on the world. Unrivaled, except but for Satan himself. When we are good, we are as good as God himself. And when we are evil, we are as evil as the great adversary of God. In what way is that not the most patriotic fucking thing that has ever been said? Even in our
Yeah,
evil, we are so wealthy and great that we can do the worst evil in human history.
got him.
Got him. So this end patriotic education, it's as insidious as when the liberals agree. Right? It's as insidious them presenting it as a goal as when the liberals agree with them. Yeah, but that's the real fact of it is America is no more or less evil than any other nation state to date, and nation states are inherently evil. When they do good, it's fine.
So so
When they're
so
evil, they're
very
bad.
so very anti-dialectical.
So very anti-dialectical. Even not even complex dialectics. It's the basics. It's the mere basics. These people spit in Hegel's face, and they spit in Hume's face, and it's
They miss
mean.
class and show up late and try to slide their paper in while that they're cheating on in class.
And then they go bitch to the dean that they got a D, and they have their parents bitch to the dean. That's the difference. The conservative goes, fuck you, I'm right. And the liberal goes and bitches to mommy and daddy. That's the difference. That's the big difference. So, we are going to talk the last 4 points. Three of them, you're going to love these. Hit them off and you tell me if you see the problem, right? Extend free speech to social media, pardon the 1-6 protesters, and drain the Department of Justice swamp. Wonder what
No.
that's about.
Oh hell, you just saved all that for ugh. That's a
Blameless
lot.
country.
Don't even
Uh,
know where to begin on that one.
Belgium is responsible for the European Union, so not blameless. Arguably evil. Again, look at Greece. I know
Drain
that's
the
a joke.
swamp is just a slogan.
Yeah, drain the swamp. You're not. That plays into the end the duopoly thing, but what it means essentially is everybody I don't like is the swamp.
It's dictator, yeah, it's dictatorship.
And let's be brazen here. When
Get rid of that. Get rid of the opposition party, right?
yeah, um, if you're running a communist government, all right, a politically communist government, and your goal is to rip away the property of the bourgeois, and you are going to redistribute it to the workers. Well, again, every country has good and evil in it, and it's primarily an evil thing that sometimes does good. Belgian beer, good actually. I'll say that, chat. What for, if not nepotism towards the workers, are you doing when you redistribute property? Because every government, this is one of those games they like to play. They like to pretend that property relations in America are almost divine, right? They like to play that
Yeah,
they're driven divinely. So the fact that black people don't have property
certainly over lives.
is a natural function. Yes, certainly over lives. So if we're communists, we take over America right this second, and we have the power to start redistributing property. Oughtn't we not do some nepotism and ameliorate those fucking crimes against the indigenous and the black folk and, frankly, the American Asians? Now,
Yeah,
if you're somebody like, and I'll say this too, if you're somebody like a Rami OF, right? If you're a black man, a black academic, and you're worried about getting fucking what's yours, right, for black folks, okay, that makes sense. That nepotism makes sense. You should be thinking that way because your community, as you identify within these racial hierarchies, has been under assault for hundreds of years, which is entirely fucking true. Nothing about that has changed. That's still right. But if we're proper worker communists, if we're proper revolutionaries, that's one of the crimes we have to fucking start pretending, playing nepotism, if you want to call it that, for. We're going to have to fix that one, aren't we? It's going to be our responsibility to fix. It's going to be our responsibility to fix it for, again, black folk, the indigenous, fucking the native. Go
if
down
we're
the
proper
list.
revolutionaries, there would be no swamp to drain.
Yeah, we bingo, we've drained the swamp. And this is the part they won't like. The bourgeoisie protesters of 1-6, I don't care that the liberals want to put them in jail. If they want to spend their resources and time doing something I would want to do anyway, they are more than welcome to do so. I don't have to lift a finger to help them.
Let them fight.
Let them spend their money and their time fighting themselves.
There's so much more important things we could be discussing instead of that.
Yes.
That whole thing is like them. It was. It's critiquing a performance art. It's
Yes.
the obscene displays of ignorance that they like to do. They'll keep doing it. It'll just be a new form at a new timing with a new place. And this is that big, like right now the transphobia is the big thing. You got to remember that they're doing this as a performance of their ignorance to get clout, to get money. Even
Absolutely.
it's not that hard to understand.
Abso-fucking-lutely. And you can say
One
you can
six was
even
just a performance. It was just a show.
you can even make the argument that if you're going to list off which crimes you're fixing first, you should fix anti-blackness first. I actually don't disagree with that.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
I
yeah,
really
yeah.
100% do not. That one is just a disgusting violation. Number two, definitely the indigenous. Now the indigenous folks will say you should take care of their crime first. Um, fair, fair. There's a lot of crimes against the indigenous, aren't there?
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know, one. I'll say this between the two groups. One of them in the American context and the greater British Empire context. One of those groups of people got shown up and delivered a war, and one of those people basically got kidnapped and delivered into a war. So that's why arbitrarily I would pick anti-blackness than anti-indigenous sentiment. Okay, that's it. That's just it. One group of people got kidnapped. One people had a chance to fight them.
I would put anti-blackness because of the white women's stranglehold on the conversation.
Yes,
And especially when it pertains to women, you're already just by doing that, you can start having more realistic conversations in these other issues.
yeah, but
As
that's
where if you do the as where you do the natives first, you'll lose a lot of land, but at the same time, that anti-blackness is even in that. that community. So then you have to work backwards to fix that.
That's kind of the other point too, because all these things, all of these social relations are tainted with anti-blackness. Yeah, I agree. Hard agree.
Like you wanna fix the thing that's gonna be present in everything before the things that are present in just one area.
Well, that's again. Chat brings this up too. If I was really prepared to have some deals ready for both, yeah, it sounds like we're going to need a lot of voices at the table because it's not like poor white folk. Again, poor white folk are in an odd situation, aren't they? Because it's
Yeah,
not like
they
they have
have
any
their
crimes.
grievances. Yeah.
They have a set of illegitimate grievances that are boiled in anti-blackness and anti-indigenous and so on sentiment, and then they have a set of legitimate grievances against those very same capitalists. After all, poor white folk are only here as the labor force behind the fucking crimes, right? They were drug here for that purpose. So it's not that they're not culpable and they don't have that same blood on their hands, but because they are used as the instruments to enforce it and have been wronged in the process once they became irrelevant and unnecessary in the minds of the capitalists, there are still things that have to be done. We're going to deport them all. We're going to deport all the Jews because Jews certainly aren't indigenous to this area. What do we do with those people, right? We have a system of arrangements that need to be worked out in a big group conversation, with the end focus continually being eliminating anti-blackness and anti-indigenous sentiment, at least in the American context. If you go elsewhere, there's other considerations to be made, right? This is not just a package deal for every individual place, but for this place, it certainly is the two driving things that need to go in that order. And again, everybody else's grievances are going to have to fucking wait until we've handled these other ones, because as you eliminate some of those grievances, the other grievances will fall off the list. Let that sink in for a second. Some of those will go away on their own. Cut that, cut that. Yeah, no, leaving it. Finally, last big one to end tonight, because it has been an extra long one, and good on you guys. I wasn't intending to go this long. I was intending for a lazy hour, and I'm glad you all made me work. I love it. Arrest George Soros, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, Fauci, and all Epstein associates are criminals. I love this one. It's another one of those ones I'd love to give you a point if you weren't just playing into the QAnon conspiracy. I have a set of legitimate grievances against all of those people, right? Bill Gates, massive pedophile, destroyer of the tech industry, uh, architect of the world we live in. Don't you dare arrest my adrenochrome dealers. I'm sorry, they gotta go. Fauci, the fucking Hitler for homosexuals in this country, the Mengele for homosexuals in the LGBTQ community, right? Epstein, rampant pedophile. Friend of every piece of shit. I just went into Bryce Belton there. I love doing that one. A fucking pedophile. George Soros. Real estate alone is a crime. The Mengele of man grasping. Trump doesn't do alliteration and he does fine. Klaus Schwab. I don't know who he is, but he sounds like a dick. Executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. It goes back to the Jews. Of course it does. Of course.
Always does.
And yet, it's simultaneously true that the World Economic Forum is not a Jewish conspiracy and it still needs to go bye-bye. Same with the IMF. Just because these anti-Semites have glommed onto it as a way to fucking divert your attention to do the libs' work for them does not mean that those institutions need to stay. They're bad, actually. They keep being right for the wrong reasons. It sucks. Yeah, you want to agree. You really do. If they could drop the anti-Semitism, I would just love to get behind arrest George Soros. Real estate owners like Donald Trump are massive fucking criminals prima facie. They're landlords. I'm going to take a bold stance here and say that the Sons of Trier has an affection for Chairman Mao. Although they think Soros is a communist and a Nazi. Yes. Yes, they do. And he's neither. He is a billionaire, and that alone is a crime. That's the thing, though. They don't think. Even somebody like Cenk Uygur will be like, it's not that he's rich, he's bad. Yes, he is. He has to be bad. It's the system in place. They have to be bad. Only the ones who are willing to part with their wealth can be redeemed and don't need the gulag. They might need a re education camp, But that doesn't mean they need beaten all the time. The ones who want to fucking stick in their guns and hire workers to attack other workers to prevent property redistribution are inherently bad. Henry Clay Frick, classic example from the past. The anarchists tried to shoot him, and good on them for trying. One of the best things an anarchist has ever done is trying to shoot Henry Frick. Henry Clay Frick. Fuck him. That's a Pittsburgh reference right there. That son of a bitch. Over $20,000. Over $20,000. Paid millions to murder workers. Fuck him. The anarchists, the only thing they did wrong was not shoot better. Because if they had shot to kill and they meant it, good on them. Good on that anarchist who tried to kill Henry Clay Frick. And if his descendants are like, oh my God, you can't say that, fuck you too. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm. They always do that. The descendants always.
We're not supposed to say it. If the anarchists had taken a run of the Vanderbilt fortune earlier, good on them. Am I saying anarchists are lazy? No, I'm saying anarchists are a bad shot. I did not in any way say they were lazy. I said good on them for trying. Learn how to aim a gun. Yes, they lack training, and that is a function of not willing to give up some of your individualism. They need to be collectivized because goddamn was their heart in the right place back then. Unironically, a stan of that. It's just like my position on Sherman that is shared by Michael Jordan Peterson. We have had a long, hard talk about that. You know what Sherman's problem was? Somebody told him to stop. And he listened. Tecumseh Sherman did nothing
Too
wrong.
soon. He quit too soon.
He did nothing wrong. You can't treat us like this. And he said he should have trusted his gut. He did. Actually, Sherman, the problem with him was that he was such a military man. I'll say this because he pointed out accurately that he promised, in his words, he promised those people their freedom, 40 acres, and a mule. And when the government failed to deliver on that promise, they fucked everything up. And again, yet again, Sherman said nothing wrong. He was right. He should have promised those things. It was his intent to follow through on them, and he wanted to take it from plantation owners to do it. He wanted to permanently disenfranchise the South. I'll say this. His other thing is he didn't burn down New York City at the time. He did not burn down Wall Street and finance capitalism. That was the only way Sherman could have been a bigger hero. One of the greatest whites of all time. In America, at least. One of the greats. Boy, I'm getting real. Ooh, getting spicy now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this pro-Sherman, this pro-Tecumseh Sherman stance is really not making us popular with the liberals, I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Unironic Sherman stan. That's going on Twitter. Don't let me... In fact, I'll do it right now. Unironic Sherman stan.
He's one of the good ones.
He is. Wait, not him. That's not him. But that is the fucking point. These assholes look at Tecumseh Sherman as a fucking race traitor, and that's all you need to know about them. At the end of the day, if you look at Tecumseh Sherman as not a hero who was constrained by his social relations, and instead look at him as a fucking race traitor, whoa.
Yeah, you guys, because I have them all blocked. You should go up to the mega communists and ask them about John Brown.
How do you feel about John Brown? I guarantee they'd say he's a hero, but they would give you some dumb reason as to why.
It'd be a 30-minute conversation.
Yeah. It would come to a lot of complex bullshit about how he loved capitalism. He didn't love Southern capitalism. He burnt that shit to the ground, and he would have kept burning until they told him to stop. There was that dickhead too who turned from. I wish I remember his name. Military governor of New Orleans Civil War. Is it Shepley? It might have been Major General Benjamin, but it might have been Benjamin Butler. I gotta look him up. I would. Is one of the other few whites. Yeah, this guy. This fuck. This fuck too. This fuck from Massachusetts actually turned into he went from a piece of shit. So the guy's name's Benjamin Butler. I'd look him up. He went from a complete piece of shit to totally based. He was the long and short of that, and Matt Christman has done a far better job of this. So I'll give you a recap, right? He was a guy who originally was pro-slavery for the purposes of just keeping the Union together, kicking the can down the road. When the Civil War came, he was a tyrant over Louisiana, famously executing people for spitting on the American flag. And then, as time went on, when he actually visually saw the conditions of slavery, right when he finally hit home, that conservative instinct in him turned into, oh, this can't fucking happen ever again. And he was one of the few voices in Congress who was like, if you do not treat, and I'm going to use his words, the Negro with respect, if you don't treat Black Americans with respect, and you don't give them what they need to thrive in this country, and you do not fix these fucking social relations, these problems, we are fucked.
Right. Because why have a movement when no one's being improved?
Bingo. Bingo. What's the point of retaining the status quo? So,
That doesn't sound like a revolution at all.
right. So he turned from a complete piece of shit into a into a goddamn bastard for the left, and good on him. Good on him. When he actually had to see it with his own eyes at how monstrous it was and how fucking shitty these people were, he went, "Oh no, black people are great. Fuck these guys." And
Yeah.
frankly, because we don't live in an ideal world, you take what you can get. Benjamin Butler redeems himself in life. And he goes out the way somebody who is trying to redeem himself should. He spent his time vociferously arguing for the people he was now aware of their plight as humans. And again, it's very conservative logic, right? I have to see the suffering to know the suffering. But I'm not a big fan of how you got to the left. I am a bigger fan of what you're doing. So when you transform from piece of shit into based, okay, it's different. We try to mirror that in media, right? With these fucking assholes like Vaush and all these assholes. And what do they spend their time doing? They went from conservatives who yelled about black people to liberals who yell at black people. And fuck them, wall, gulag and wall, baby. As I'm saying, I'm not asking for much. Just put me in charge of a gulag. I'll make it happen. I'll get the work done.
Gulag man.
I have to get this information into the Communist Party's hands, the Communist Party of China, for when they liberate America. Look, I
I
don't
want
ask
to
for
be a.
much.
I want to be a judge. I want to be on the panel.
Oh yeah, you send them to me and I'll handle them. That way I keep your
Yeah,
hands
yeah,
clean.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Good, 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 good. Yeah. And then
that's my
when
role.
there's something you need done there that you can't really do, I can do it.
When you have to pull me in for screaming, pull, Whitey, pull.
It would be like, Dad, you weren't supposed to finish them off again. You were
Okay.
supposed to detain.
Dan, I love your sentiment in
But
trying.
Dad.
Dan, I love your sentiment in trying to make up for your own shitty past. But I'm gonna have to ask you to stop whipping, whipping the white gulag members while screaming, "Pull, Whitey, pull!"
And where did you even get a bullwhip?
Yeah, we didn't issue that. You brought that from home. You take that out. Okay, no, not mad.
I seen it in your Amazon purchases. Come on, don't lie to me.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad, but you can't whip him
I'm
that
not
hard.
mad.
Whipping in the white gulag. Oh yeah.
You gotta not leave a mark. Come on, bro. I thought I told you.
Where do you keep getting saps from, Dan? Where do you keep getting them from?
I'm gonna have to send him to the Santa school.
To the Santa School. That's what I'll name it too. The Santa School for kids who did bad.
He's just got a whip.
Yeah. It's just me hitting. It's just a statue in front of me hitting DeSantis. I fucking told you
Shut up.
stupid would hurt. Woo!
This is for subjecting us to Fox News, you douches.
You fucking bastard. Rupert Murdoch would redact it. Redacted. We know there's a re. I mean, in Rupert Murdoch's offense, he does understand one thing about communism. He wouldn't live through it, right? He
No,
understands.
the ghoulest of the ghouls, Mr. Media controlled himself. Nah, you'd have a special room in the gulag.
No bitches. By the way, chat, nice tweet. No bitches. Andy, no bitches. All right. Hey, I think we're good. I think we've sufficiently between our tangents torn through MAGA communism as the fucking grift sham it is. I think we have. And the thing I'd like you to remember is that I guess the most critical part is here is that when a conservative is actually trying to convert, we should have open arms. We should also be trying to make sure that they're not engaging in the same shitty conservative behaviors they were doing beforehand, right? Absolutely talking down to minorities, the utter disdain, what they would label vaguely as anti woke, right? If you're not engaging in those behaviors and you're trying to engage in the left, have at it, Haas. Everybody should have an opportunity to learn. Again, it's in my opinion, and I have to believe this to some degree, but I believe it's what you're doing now. It's not what you did, and to some degree, I think that holds, right? We wouldn't say Jeffrey Dahmer could be reformed because we know what he would do anyway, right? It's all probably a fucking lie. The math is not favorable towards Mr. Dahmer. But for most people, right, we have to have that kind of compassion where if that's what you're trying to do, these are the means by which to do it. And these are the interactions you need to have. We have to be as a group more vigilant about what people are actually doing, not just because we get a kick out of them, right? That's a thing that kind of keeps happening. And certainly I think there are well-meaning people who are looking at these kind of grifters and going, I'm getting a kick out of it. Well, I get a kick out of Alex Jones. That doesn't mean we should emulate it. That doesn't make Alex base, does it? I find him to be very amusing. Things you can do with his content and because of his content, or his content itself is funny because he's such a fucking weirdo. At least in my humble opinion, we need to look at these kind of things, analyze them, rip them apart, because if they're serious, they need to modify and change. If they are unserious grifters, which is our catch-all term these days, charlatans, then fuck them. They can get the wall. Any of your final thoughts, Mr. Jordan Peterson?
Oh no, no. Pretty good stream. I like the audience participation.
I do. I
Um,
did love it too.
that was good. That was good. Um, pretty classic topic. I didn't know he was going through the mega communisms until he was going through it,
It's a fun
which is good.
surprise.
It was a
Yeah,
fun surprise. Fun surprise.
could have been
Still, just
worse.
so much grossness. But yeah, that's about it. So good show.
Yeah,
Uh, you can
you.
end that whenever you're ready.
All right.
Unless you just want to go over comments or
No,
you have something else you want to bring up.
no, we hit the comments pretty good. Pretty good rhythm. And
Okay, okay.
much love to everybody. Don't die out there. And
Yeah,
we're all
stay safe.
praying. Yeah, we're all praying the Communist Party of China liberates us soon. Have a good night.